uwager.lv, Sportsbook, and Casino. Sign up today at uwager.lv, the premier online sportsbook, taking wagers since 1998. The most player-friendly lines, weekly juice specials, and a true dime line in MLB. Unique casino platforms with thousands of games. Play poker, high stakes, low stakes, or tournament play. uwager.lv, what we offer. Free same-day payouts. Customer service and wagering support, 24/7, year-round. Free monthly rebates on your action and daily casino rebates. Contests, free bets, best bonuses, and giveaways. Generous referral program. Get an 80% free play bonus on your first deposit, up to $1,000. Sign up today, and use promo code SPORTSWEB. Remember, you can't win if you don't play.
going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television on a Monday night of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. How do we start off this edition of the Sports Web as we have a new Super Bowl champion? Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, it's looking like we're going to have JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, which can be seen and heard here on Facebook and YouTube Monday through Friday from 10 to 12. Of course, my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek, the gambling professional that he is, of 1252 Chicago Sports. And then, of course, we'll take your phone calls as always, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Also, the number out there, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. So what do you think about Super Bowl 57? Highly entertaining game, wouldn't you say? 38-35, Kansas City over the Philadelphia Eagles. At some points in this game, it certainly looked like the Eagles were going to run away, but they didn't do that, did they? Absolutely, you can call up Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment as he's texting me as I'm on air. But the big story, of course, is controversy. The penalty with, about a minute and 30 left that gives Kansas City new life. You got to make that call. I know that people hate it. Is it shocking? Of course not. It's not shocking. It's never shocking when it comes to the NFL. Just ask Roger Goodell, who's went on record last week and said there's nothing wrong with the officiating. But it had to be called. Even the James Bradbury said it best. He held. He thought he could get away with it. You got to make the call. Did they do it the whole game? That's what I wish would happen. More consistency, which didn't happen during the game. Is it disappointing that it comes down to that? I don't necessarily think it comes just down to that. You got a 24-14 lead. We talked about it on the over-under, did we not? With Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports. What did he tell you? Go back and watch it. If Kansas City was able to run the ball with Pacheco, whoever else they had, and it was Pacheco, who's looking like Tyreek Hill with that number 10 jersey on, completely explosive. If they were able to run the ball, they could win this game. The biggest question mark coming into it was what? Could the Eagles get after Patrick Mahomes? And the answer would be resoundingly no. Credit to where credit is due. The Kansas City Chiefs and that offensive line kept him clean. That's what they didn't do 2 years ago against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Recall 497 yards running backwards. They got after Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles didn't do that. On top of it, they couldn't stop the run. How many coverage breakdowns? Was this a Todd Bowles defense that I was watching on Sunday? How many wide open receivers in this game, especially in that second half? Look at the drives. 75. Then you kick it to Kadarius Toney. By the way, great pickup by the Chiefs. 66 yards. 65 yards. Then they get 66 yards to go and kick the field goal. Did the penalty help? To a certain degree. You know what didn't help? The Eagles and their inability to stop the Kansas City Chiefs. So hats off to the Kansas City Chiefs. Congratulations. I'll give it to you, Patrick Mahomes. There you go. If you want to talk about it, if you want to talk about the controversy, you can. If you want to talk about the commercials, you can. There were some good ones, but pretty much wasn't too good.
This guy sucks.
And then, of course, the halftime performance, which was under scrutiny, which I don't understand why you would criticize a pregnant woman going, 12-minute set. But if you want to talk about that, we can. And then, of course, we're going to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because it's offensive coordinator watch, they still have not hired an offensive coordinator.
How about them Bucs, baby?
They still don't have their quarterback. We have rumors. We have speculation. Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, cap situation that's kind of changed, if you will. Now with Tom Brady announcing his retirement and signing the papers, it looks like the Bucs are going to take that full cap hit. So plenty to talk about here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Please don't be boring. Please don't be quiet tonight. Say what you have to say here on the Evolution. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Somebody says, please don't talk baseball. Please call in Troy.
This guy sucks.
All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get my co-host on. Let's break down Super Bowl 57. Let's break down some of this Bucs speculation here on the Evolution. Here we go. The Greek himself, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports, Mr. Harry the Greek. Welcome to the Evolution. How you doing on this Monday night, my friend?
Pretty good, Peter. Thank you so much for having me on. How are you today, buddy?
I am doing absolutely fantastic.
So how do you like my lower third there?
I love it, man.
Baseball is here soon.
It is. It's here soon. Absolutely. I'm going to start putting on my lower third there too, just to piss off Troy, because that's what we like to do here. We not only like to give you something to think about, but we also like to piss you off. Because if you're not going to call me tonight and you're going to spew nonsense, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, speaking of nonsense, let's get right to it. The controversial call late in the game with the holding there. Your thoughts on the referees not swallowing the whistle, giving second life to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well,
right
you know,
wrong, is this the right call that the refs made in this game?
Look, man, it was a penalty. Should they have called it? No, absolutely not. I mean, but it was still a penalty. You got to hold that flag in your pocket. But you know what, Peter, this game was over a lot earlier than that. I mean, you and I were even talking about it when we were talking about it over on the over under on the show with the keys to the win. You and I both liked, the Philadelphia Eagles not only to win the game but to go ahead and cover. But if you remember correctly, I think Fred or you had asked me what were the keys to the game for Kansas City.
Correct.
And I didn't allude. I was very, very, very adamant when I said that the Kansas City Chiefs had to stay away from the corners and had to have some remnants of a running game. And if they were going to run the football, then Kansas City could win this game. And I'll tell you when everything changed, Pete. If you remember when Philadelphia was up 14-7, and I like to say the Eagles turned it over, that wasn't the case. Jalen Hurts couldn't handle a snap, turns it over, they pick it up, they run it in for a touchdown. So rather than being up 21-7, it was now 14-14. I looked at my wife and went, uh-oh, this changes the whole complexity of this game. And what happened is they didn't get Tampa Bay Buccaneer disease, being down 21-7, and then decided they didn't have to run the ball anymore, that they have to pass. He doesn't turn that ball over there. I firmly believe that Philadelphia wins this game, because then Patrick Mahomes and that offense is going to play right into the teeth of what the defense does best, and that is to pass protect, get after the quarterback, because then they would have to challenge Bradbury and the other corner out there. That's where they would have had the problem. Congratulations to Kansas City. You learned from what happened to you 2 years ago. You didn't have to run around like a crazy man all over the place. And as I said before, Peter, Jalen Hurts sucks.
Well, I'm not ready to say Jalen Hurts sucks.
Listen, this game is too big for him right here. The Philadelphia Eagles were the best team. They need a quarterback to get them over the hump. I am not a believer in Jalen Hurts. You can say whatever you want about him.
We're going to disagree on this. We're going to completely
if you don't throw for 150 yards a game, you still have to be a quarterback in the National Football League, not a running back.
I think you got to be multi-dimensional, which is what Hurts is, which is also what Justin Fields, and you hope that's what he's going to be here in the next coming year, because that's my comparison. But you look at the numbers with Mr. Jalen Hurts, 27 for 38, 304, 1 touchdown, didn't have any interceptions, 15 for 73 touchdowns. We talked about it, the critical fumble that basically gives the Chiefs the momentum. Well, I thought he played his ass off. I think the Philadelphia Eagles got a quarterback for the future, and I don't think they're going anywhere. The disappointing factor for me, Harry the Greek, was the defense and not getting after Patrick Mahomes. The disappointing thing for me was not being able to stop the running game, which this is the reason why you pick up Ndamukong Suh to help you out with the running game, and he wasn't able to help them out because they're able to run for over 125 yards of rushing by the Kansas City Chiefs.
They couldn't stop the running game, Peter, because they weren't expecting it. Kansas City came in with a different game plan, as you and I were talking about, and that's why they won that football game. They weren't going to challenge and get the safeties off the line of scrimmage because they know Kansas City is going to pass the football all over the field. Look what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. Did you really honestly think that Tom Brady wasn't going to throw for over 200 yards? They had the exact same game plan.
You're correct. And I'll go ahead and give you what they had. Patrick Mahomes, 21 for 27, 182 with rushing for the day, 6 for 44, including that big.
And his over-under was 279, Pete.
Correct. Right. And they ran the ball. They ran the ball for they actually ran the ball 26 times, 26 for 158. That is the perfect game plan, and it is reminiscent of Super Bowl 55 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where you actually run the ball more than you pass the ball. And I believe Brady only had like 199 yards of passing.
199.
Yes.
199. And to say that Jalen Hurts sucks, that's a pretty strong word. He's not the quarterback for this team. Okay. That's just my opinion. And shame on what Philadelphia did. They completely changed the offensive game plan for him, because at one point, and it was almost up to halftime, Philadelphia threw the ball more than they ran. That is not a Philadelphia offense. And that first drive, they caught him a little bit off guard, throwing the ball around. Hurts is running, and then they scored the 7 points. They scored more points in an opening drive than anybody in football. But as the game goes on, your bread and butter is running that football and controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling the clock. At one point, he had thrown 4 more passes than they ran. Up in the first half. That's not the way Philadelphia wanted to play football. These were the Kansas City Chiefs defense. They're not that good.
No, they're not that good, but they still got 2 sacks. And on top of it, they were able to stop the run at some points in the game to force Philly to throw the ball. And look, for me, the matchup at the end of the day
understandable.
Is the
they
wide
dictated.
Right.
Congratulations to Kansas City.
Right. But for me, the wide receivers of Philadelphia going against that Kansas City secondary, I felt like that was a mismatch nightmare. You saw that during the game. A.J. Brown, 6 for 96. Devontae Smith, 7 for 100. I definitely think Hurts is the future of this team. I definitely think you haven't heard the last of Philadelphia. They got to fix that defense. I thought it was highly disappointing that line didn't get after Patrick Mahomes, and that was the game right there. 0 sacks given up by that offensive line, and the Chiefs learned from it. And you know what? One of our guys, the goofball himself, the giant goofball, Andrew Davis, said it best. He said, look, Mahomes was definitely motivated. He was motivated coming into this game because of 2 years ago getting embarrassed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not getting a touchdown besides when they landed on the plane at TPA. And he had something to prove, and he wanted to prove it, and they had a great game plan, and they retooled that offensive line, which was able to block Philadelphia's defensive line at the end of the day. That was the big thing.
Listen, and he's absolutely correct. We talked about it. These things could happen. I said if you liked Philadelphia, you had to play the under. I firmly believe if the score goes 21-7, you're not going to see as many runs in the second half. Then you see that offensive line. But I don't agree with you, Pete. Although they didn't get a sack in the first half of that game completely by Philadelphia, they were getting after, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was running around pretty hard. He did not look the best.
When he went before halftime, because it happens, he gets hit, and it looks like he messes up his ankle again. I feel like, here he goes. He's limping. He comes out in halftime, makes this halftime speech, tells his team to get up. They come right out. even with his ankle. I don't know what he took a shot of, whatever it was, it worked. They went right down the field, put it right down the Eagles defense's throat, scored a touchdown, and at that point, you had a game because I felt like when he was limping.
Because it turned around in the first half.
Correct.
With the fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to keep going back to that play.
They still had
hold on. But this conversation started
right
because you asked me about the penalty.
Mm-hmm.
We're concentrating too much on one particular play
Agreed.
rather than talking about what the referee created, rather than talking about what actually transitioned this game and completely turned it around. Listen, I was wrong when I said I like Philadelphia. I can come up with a million excuses from what I see, and I'm going to form my own opinion about what I thought that the team lost, and that's what makes me a prognosticator and not a fan.
That's
just
it.
like you, Pete. When you turn around and you want to watch the game. But the point I'm going to make here is this: I did give everybody the total points for the game for Philadelphia. And you can go back and check it. I said they would put up 35 points, and that should be enough to win the game, and they should win the game convincingly. When they scored 35 points and ended up losing that game, the defense definitely had something to say about it. I'm going to go back to what I said. Philadelphia's defense couldn't play to their strengths because of that one turnover that Jalen Hurts committed. So if I said he sucked for this game. He's not the quarterback for this team. You give me any other quarterback, you can name him. Tom Brady, you could have put Patrick Mahomes on that side. You could have put Aaron Rodgers back there. I'm telling you, Philadelphia beats this team 10 out of 10 times.
Not with that defense, not with the breakdowns they had in that second half, not covering wide receivers. We're on with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinary. A spirited debate here on the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here live on I Love St. Pete, the hub, and Amped Up Sports. Get on the phone lines if you want to call up, say what you want to say about Super Bowl 57 being in the books. By the way, the third watch Super Bowl of all time, actually an uptick over last year's 113. What's the first one and what's the second one? You'll be surprised by this.
I don't know, and I don't care.
Okay. Thanks a lot. You're an awesome co-host here.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Really, who was it, Pete? I mean, I'm dying to know. What was it? I'm riveted here.
Okay. All right. 2015 Seattle versus New England.
Oh, my God.
Of course, who could forget that one? The play there where Marshawn Lynch,
who should have got the football.
By far the single-handedly worst call of Pete Carroll, whoever the offensive, I believe was Darrell Bevel at the time. Worst call, and not only Super Bowl history, but football history there. Give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. You most likely beat Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. You don't. New England wins in 2015. Seattle and Denver is the second one. Remember that one? That was a stinker. And that one was in New York, was it not?
I don't remember, but the Seattle-Denver, I believe that's the game that my wife scored an absolute package because she had taken a proposition bet that has never been the same. I think it was like plus 3,000 or 5,000, something stupid. Would there be a safety in the game? And on the very first play, there was the safety.
Peyton Manning and that high-powered offense, the number one offense in the National Football League versus the number one defense of Seattle and the Legion of Boom, of course. And then Rihanna, 118 million watched it. Second most watched halftime show. What was number one? Do you care?
Yeah, I do care.
Okay,
but I'm completely riveted.
It's a dark horse here. It's Katy Perry with 121 in 2015. There you go.
Katy Perry.
That's right.
Am I the only one that liked the field dancers better than Rihanna yesterday?
You know what?
Do I dare tell you?
Don't start.
Andrew from the Giant Goofballs told me what all the little white dots were.
Don't start. Don't go there. Let's go out to the comments. Roger Shue says first. Roger Shue says hit that like button on your way.
I think that was all the stuff that missed.
I'm trying not to suck right there.
That's what I get. That's what you get. Let me acknowledge.
Acknowledge me.
Troy says, make this quick. AEW was on. No, it's not. Once again, fake news.
This guy.
Hey, Troy, tell your mother to make me a sandwich.
There you go. Good stuff. Roger says AEW is on Wednesday. Raw is on now. Jimmy G, arm We'll get into that about Jimmy G. I mean, actually, let's talk about that. And let's go out to Roger really quick. Jimmy G, garbage on Kyle Trask. Who cares?
Our Kyle.
Okay.
Who art in heaven.
Don't start with that. We'll get back to that moment. I'm going to read these comments because I'm tired of you already. What's up, Peter Blake? What's going on? Sitting. A round of applause to the NFL script writers for giving us an entertaining Super Bowl.
This guy sucks.
Christopher Cole says, hey, guys, that call was a bad call, just like last year.
How about them Bucs, baby?
What's up, Chris?
Sitton says the Eagles suck. I'll second that.
Oh, yeah.
Troy says, Harry cost us money. Anything you
me.
want to say to Troy Polamalu here?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry I cost you money with my one pick, but I made a small package.
Well, right. I know you did.
I don't know. I made a small package of the game. I told everybody I bet the 35 points. Hey, it's a nice proposition bet. I was wrong on Philadelphia. Let me say it again. I was wrong on Philadelphia. But I was right when I said if you like Kansas City, bet the over.
You're right. You were definitely right about that. Bet the over, and they did bet the over. Hopefully, some of us did there. Let's see. What are we doing at quarterback? Sitting. We'll get back to that in a moment because rumors are running rampant there on Sunday with who the quarterback could be. Stop saying that. It's spring training, baby. Absolutely. Roger says, can I ban him again? No, don't do that. We want to have somebody to kick around. Troy Polamalu. The best part
I like him. I like him as much as the Bayou, the Bayou. What the hell was his name? The guy with one tooth.
This guy.
No, come on. He was the New Orleans Saints guy. No, hold on. Listen, Pete. This was the guy that was the fan of the New Orleans Saints.
Bayou Bryant.
But he lived in South Jersey and the Pineys.
Correct.
For a while. And
yes.
then he moved to the Bayou with his love of his life, which was his sister. And wait a minute. What was his name? Brian what?
I don't know what his name is.
We got to get him back on the show, buddy.
Sure,
seriously.
He brings so much to the table, especially with seeing two teeth in his mouth. That's awesome.
But you know what? Do you know what I can appreciate about Brian that I can't appreciate about Troy?
He actually is an extra in Deliverance.
No, not only that, but the guy not only called into the show, but I actually sent the link to him, and he actually came on. If you do remember that, and I was like, look, man, I don't believe it's really you.
Right.
So do me a favor, take that webcam that you have and let me see the other side of that couch. And it's a visual that you and I and the rest of the webheads
horrifying
will never, ever forget.
Yeah, horrifying. The best part of the Super Bowl was Rondé getting booed. Did you catch that by chance?
Yes, I did. And did you know that Jared Payton that said that God cursed Philadelphia for that?
Really?
Yeah, I read it.
Oh, well, you mean Dak Prescott being booed. I'm talking about Rondé Barber.
Oh, no, I'm sorry about Dak Prescott. That's
yeah,
what
Dak
Prescott. Why did Rondé Barber get booed?
Well, because Rondé Barber is a part of that famous play, the 92-yard interception to close down the vet for the Bucs to go to the Super Bowl and, of course, beat the Raiders 48-21 and Super Bowl 37. And, of course,
that's a good boo.
Right. Actually, you know what? We got our guest coming on here. He's a little bit late, but that's okay. It's better late than never.
Off with his head.
No. We got the great JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. How you doing, partner?
What's up, man? Sorry I'm a little late. Had a business call to be on, trying to make some money. You know the deal.
How you doing, Mr. Peterson?
Listen. It's
What's up, Greek?
Not much, little brother. How are you? I'm doing fantastic, sir.
Listen, it's all about priorities on this show. Make that money when you get a chance to make that money. Speaking of money, that, absolutely. All right, JP.
I lost my ass on the Super Bowl, Greek. I had the Eagles in the under. Not good.
You were supposed to take the Eagles in the under, but there was one small proposition bet. How much did you lose? Would you say, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, $250, nothing.
$250. Okay, did you know a $10 bill, just a $10 bill, and you put it on the 35 points like I told everybody to do, it got you back $350.
Damn.
I'm not kidding you.
JP, you got to listen to this guy. We do what's called the over-under.
And I'm the guy who hates proposition bets. I couldn't. Listen. You're a sicko if you're sitting there betting a coin toss or how many hot dogs that they're. Did you know there was a damn over-under on how many beers were going to be consumed, which was 200,000. There was an over-under on 17,000 hot dogs on the over-under. I'm not that sick.
Did it go over?
Count that
So
stuff.
so what I did was I bet $100 on 5 points. 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. My favorite number was 35. That's what I projected out there.
Right.
Here's the kicker, and this is what people don't understand. When the Philadelphia Eagles scored their last touchdown, if they didn't convert that 2-point conversion, are you ready for this? It was worth 10,000.
10,000.
10,000.
Wow.
It was plus 10 grand.
Wow.
For 33. When they hit the 2-point conversion, it dropped to 3,500. So
wow.
All right. Bad, though. Not too shabby.
No, I'll take
Good
it.
value.
Oh yeah, the price always makes up for the pick. I was wrong there, but I'd love to hear your opinion. I was telling Peter, I thought the complete turning point in this game, I thought everything could have been totally different, is when Jalen Hurts before halftime turned the ball over, and that created the fumble, which led to the touchdown. So rather being up 21-7 and forcing Kansas City to do something that they were not going to be comfortable, especially against this defense, was to have to pass the ball all over the place. They were still able to continue with their game plan. I think we're talking about a Philadelphia winning that Super Bowl.
Totally agree. That was as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, because we know that scoop and score, 80% of the time you win the game. Scoop and score and a special teams touchdown takes you to about 95%. And of course, that Tony return was basically a punt return touchdown. So, it was a crazy stat, Peter. I wish I had all the numbers, but Nick talked about this. My co-host talked about this today. Over 300 yards passing, whatever their running numbers were, 4 rushing touchdowns. There's a bunch of things that the Eagles did, right? Nobody's done it since like a team in 1989. The Cincinnati Bengals did it in 1989. I'm talking about all NFL games.
Right.
They won that game 61-7. 61-7. The Eagles did all those things and lost the football game because of the scoop and score and the special teams. That's how much that flips the whole game. It's crazy.
It really does.
What do you think about the call? Because that's been controversial. I say, look, he already admitted to it. It's the call that it's not going to really be shocking to me because at the end of the day, we've seen this all year long, JP, where in critical situations, the refs make that call. I think it was the right one, but you hate for it to come down to that moment. You hate for the Chiefs to get that second life. How do you feel about it?
I think it was. I don't think it was holding. Number one, he never impeded his progress, and the biggest reason he didn't impede his progress because Juju Schuster never reacted to it whatsoever. Plus, he was three strides ahead of him. He never impeded him. And referees will tell you all the time it's advantage. Did he gain an advantage? You could clearly see when he went in. Yes, his hands were on him, but that's not a foul. You have to impede him, and he never impeded him. He never broke stride. He got 3 yards clear. It's not holding. It's just not holding. Plus, that's number one. Number two, and the advantage part of that is absolutely how they teach this. You have to impede him. He never impeded him. Juju Smith-Schuster never reacted. They weren't calling it the entire game. That's how these things are done. Players feel the way the game is being called, and if they're good players, they react accordingly and take advantage of it and understand how the game is being called. Okay? So that's number 3. Number 4, you don't want to make a call in that situation. You just don't.
Not that late in the game.
Not that late in the game, and that call that it ended the game. The call ended the game. It was, and so ironically enough, if he doesn't make the call, and my son Miracle, they scored there, it actually would have benefited the Eagles. But I just don't understand with all those circumstances why in the hell you would make that call at that particular time. I'm not going to sit here and say the games are rigged. But
let me speculate then. I got a question for you, JP, if that's okay. May I?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Everybody obviously knows that you don't have to make me full screen. Go ahead and bring it down to 3.
Okay, all right.
JP, I mean, everybody knows that I'm a professional gambler. Been doing this for, God, I can't tell you how many years. I don't want to date myself.
Long time.
And I'm an advocate for gambling, as long as it's done responsibly. But I'm the one that was standing on the soapbox, screaming from the top of the mountains, going, please do not allow sports books. Please do not allow betting to legalize it, to put it in these venues, whether it's hockey or baseball or football. These are the same people in the NFL that were screaming, wait a minute, there's no place for gambling in the National Football League, God forbid. Now there's billions of dollars, the NFL, the Major League Baseball. You've got to start thinking, could the refs have had Kansas City?
Sure.
I mean, you've got to start thinking that. What stops a ref or someone on the sideline who's sitting up close to the sports book to go like this? And that means, hey, man, he ain't completing this pass. Go put me 20 large on it. I mean, it's especially with in-game live action.
Yep.
Okay. One has to wonder, and if people out there want to run their blinders on and say it's not going to happen, you're highly mistaken.
Yeah,
well,
you're highly mistaken because it's going to happen.
Roger Goodell came out last week and said, JP, there's nothing wrong with the.
So my question to you, JP, is: do you think that there should be
full-time officials?
No. Sports books. Do you agree with gambling being okay the way the NFL and Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League are accepting it and they're actually endorsing it?
Well, I can tell you this: the genie's out of the bottle, so it doesn't really matter what I think or what you think. It's happening, and you can't take it back. It's not, they can't suddenly say no more gambling on our games. Then it just goes underground like it always was, right? So at least now it's above board. You can track things. You can investigate and track and see things are fixed. But no, I think it's a great question. And where the NFL has a huge problem now is the appearance that they can fix games. The mechanism for them to have in real time communication with every head referee to New York, centralized, is a bad precedent. Because you're telling people to speculate. Hey, if the NFL wanted to control the outcome of every game, they could do it. They could absolutely 100% do it. Now, we've noticed that there's some really crazy calls going on. You mean like in the Bengals-Chiefs game? You mean like in the Super Bowl? I mean, if you wanted to just, put some stuff out there and say, well, maybe the NFL just wants Patrick Mahomes to be the new golden boy. Brady's gone. Who's going to be the new face of the league? Is it going to be Joe Burrow? Or is it going to be Patrick Mahomes? What do you think, Roger? Well, we'd rather have Patrick Mahomes. I think, yes, the NFL would like that, and more so than a Joe Burrow. Oh, okay. Well, we'll take care of that.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, man, and here it is. I mean, they were one play away from Patrick Mahomes either being the baby goat to the Billy goat, if you really think about that. Okay, because had he lost that game, you're not calling him the baby goat.
No, they're calling him Aaron Rodgers. You're calling him Aaron Rodgers, basically.
You're basically calling him the Billy goat.
Exactly.
And I love your analogy. So that leads me to the other part of this question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think now that flag deliberately cost him the game, or do you think Philly beat themselves because of the turnover? That's my point.
I think in general, you got to look at how Kansas City played in that second half. And they clearly made some great adjustments at halftime. Those two touchdown plays that were wide open were brilliant calls by Andy Reid in the chess match. He set them up with other plays with that short motion to see how the Eagles were covering it. And then I heard today that Doug Peterson ran that same play against the Eagles defense with great success. And he called Andy Reid and told him about it. And so they ran that. They saw exactly how they adjusted on that short motion 2x2 set. And you could see with their adjustments, there's no way that they could get to the outside leverage guy, especially in a speed situation. And they used Sky Moore and they used Tony in those situations. Those were great calls, great chess matches. And I think Andy Reid out-coached Sirianni. I think the Eagles cost themselves with the bad. Their special teams were third worst in the league. So it ended up biting them in the ass. And Patrick Mahomes was phenomenal. I mean, for him to play on that ankle 2 games on a high ankle sprain, not more than less than a month ago, is insane. That goes down as a Willis Reed moment, a Ronnie Lott cut your finger off, Jack Youngblood play with a broken. To me, that's you're in that club, bro. And for him to make that 26-yard run in that crucial situation, pulling away from people with a high ankle sprain, that is, to me, the dude's incredibly talented.
Yes, he is.
He's also a tough motherfucker.
Absolutely. And
yeah,
you know what? And
Yeah.
you know what? And he didn't even throw for 200 yards.
I know.
Okay.
Didn't need to.
And get this. Not only did he not throw for 200 yards, they executed a game plan to absolute perfection.
Didn't need to.
So now that you brought something up in the point that you made earlier, go ahead and start talking, Peter, because there was something that he said that kind of struck me. And oh, wait a minute, I'm going to say exactly what it was. You remember how you turned around and says, "Well, you think the NFL is going to decide I'd rather have him rather than him?" Well, there are football players, former football players. I'm going to leave one nameless that believes, hey, the NFL is like that.
It's scripted, yeah.
And they feel that it's scripted. And I'm kind of looking at it going, huh? Nah, stop. But when you have former NFL players saying that this could be scripted, it's got to make you go, It's got to make you go,
Yeah, because they opened up Pandora's box with the gambling, so now everybody thinks it's sports entertainment and it's WWE. And
exactly,
if you have that doubt,
I wouldn't go WWE here.
I'm just saying, man.
The template, brother. It's the template.
Yeah,
you can create storylines that create interest, that create ratings. Absolutely, there are people that would look at you and say, and this is why the whole central the central hub in New York that now has real-time communication with every head referee, that's a problem. They need to stop that because it just gives you the notion. Yeah, sure, if they still wanted to do things, they could manipulate it, but now they could do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
And just say and just tell the refs, listen, you got this is the outcome that we're looking for. Let's make sure that happens. I mean, I know it's crazy, but the things that are going on in this world right now that I never thought we'd ever see, every institution that I ever believed in, I now do not believe in whatsoever.
Well,
why should we believe that the NFL is above reproach and everything is above board? That would be antithetical. I mean, why would you? Every other institution, from the CDC to the Treasury to every government office and everything, it's all corrupt.
So the Illuminati, it comes on. And now, JP, from what I understand, we're shooting UFOs down.
Exactly. There's UFOs everywhere. But
the
NFL, there's no way the NFL is fixed. No way. That could never happen.
Right.
I don't know, man, but I don't want to believe it. But is it going to make me love the game any less? Yes, it really would. I'll tell you that right now. It would make me love the game less. It would make me want to start watching Premier League soccer.
You want to hear something really crazy? And I'm a media guy, right? I study the media. And let me ask you guys this, okay?
Sure.
When's the last time, okay, you could think about the Saints call on the interference with the Rams. Remember the Rams championship game, that terrible call, the non-call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see?
He didn't hit him.
Yeah. Did you see the guys say, "Oh yeah, I committed the foul"? But when have you ever seen in that situation a cornerback who barely grabbed the guy come out and say to the media, "Yeah, I did it. I copped to it. That was me." Never.
No, I would have been the one on the soapbox going, "Are y'all full of shit or something? I didn't commit that penalty."
And then when have you seen a head coach like Nick Sirianni get up at the podium and go, "That's not why we lost the game, and that was just one call, and it was a good call," but never. Now they've said, "I'm not going to talk about the officiating," or they say, "I'm not going to get into that." They've never come out and like totally exonerated the call. I've never seen that in the media ever, especially from Philadelphia, right? I mean, never. Why was that? You don't think somebody in the NFL went to James Bradbury and said, "Hey, man, we need you to cop to this. We don't need any controversy from this thing. We need you to cop to it. We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. But you need to." And somebody got in Sirianni's ear and said, "Listen, we do not need any controversy about that call. You need to be a good soldier and go with the league. We'll take care of you." I've
And
never
I
seen that
agree with you 1,000,000,000,000%.
Turn on the NFL Network this morning, and they were doing the same thing, whitewashing the whole damn thing.
Well, of course they are. They're the ones that are getting paid by them, and I can't stand that. It's just another fake news.
Yes,
sorry,
it is.
I'm not going that route.
That's all right. We're on with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1252 Chicago Sports. JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, which can be seen and heard here on YouTube, Facebook. Also, you got a big deal that happened. Go ahead and promote that really quick. You guys are on Roku now?
Yeah, we're on. You can now download the RHS TV. That's Red House Streaming. That's where a company we're partnered with. They have an app now that is downloadable on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. So you know where you download those apps. Mm-hmm. So download search RHS TV, and we are live. We will be right on your big television, so you don't have to watch us on the computer anymore. On your phone, you can watch us on your big 90-inch TV in your house. Just download RHS TV, and you can stream the show onto your television set every day.
Great stuff there.
Now I'm pissed off. I just it makes so much sense now because I don't like to listen to players' opinions. I don't like listening to post-game interviews. It bothers me. JP, being a prognosticator and a professional handicapper for as many years as I have, I've always stick to the basics. I don't listen to TV. I don't listen to what other people say. I give you an opinion from what I am watching between my forehead and my chin. The only thing that sits in my cranium. I tell you the way it is and the way I'm seeing the game, and I break them down as close as possible. But it makes sense. It makes sense. And now, honestly, you've given me something to really just damn, I'm pissed.
The NFL has a problem. They got a problem.
They do definitely have a problem, and hopefully they address it, but I feel like they're not going to address it unless they change some more rules there.
Let's add some more rules.
Well, they could be taking away that Philadelphia play, where the quarterback is doing the quarterback sneak and the running back or a fullback is helping him in there. It's already been a rule. I thought it was a rule, but they're not enforcing it. Now they're looking to enforce it.
They rescinded it. They rescinded the rule where you can push the player because it was really kind of hard to determine, but now it's blatant what they're doing. So, yeah, I think they're going to have to go back to the old rule where you can't push a guy from behind.
Crazy. All right.
But you can't. You can do that on offense, but you can't do it on defense when you're trying to block a field goal. You can't step over your own player, and you can't jump over him.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the defense is always at a disadvantage. We all know that. Now,
what's the tuck rule?
What's the catch? Honestly, at this.
What's the catch? Exactly.
Right.
What's the catch?
You know what? I want to bring that up.
Yes.
Let's go back in time.
Yes.
Let's go back to one of the rules that became available. The Detroit Lions were playing the Chicago Bears. Calvin Johnson was the quarterback. It was plainly a touchdown. He catches the ball. He goes to the ground. He slams the ball down with his hand. He gets back up, and he's celebrating. And all of a sudden, they're going like this. And I'm like,
terrible call.
What are they smoking? And I'm a Bear fan. I'm like, what are they smoking? This isn't a catch? Really? And how many games have been decided because of that new rule that they implemented? Look, man, the human eye again can determine what was a catch and what wasn't. That was a catch.
Well,
and just like the other 100 that they've taken away from people and receivers.
This gives them a tool to use to control games. Yep. Okay, we know what a catch is. Now they've made it so ambiguous what a catch is that they can decide what's a catch and what's not a catch. At any whim, they can control the game and say, "Oh, that wasn't a catch because the ball moved." And then sometimes the ball moves and it's a catch, like the Dallas Goedert one and the Devontae Smith one. It's like there's no. They try to make it so foolproof that it's objective every time, but it's never going to be objective. It should, to me, replay has gone way overboard what it ever should have been. We should be micromanaging the game if the ball moves a little bit. I mean, guess what? If a 200-pound man falls on top of you while you're going to the ground with the
ball's going to move.
It's going to move. This just in.
And
but
you know what?
Catch the ball and take 2 steps and then fall to the ground. Yeah, okay, but I can look at that and say that was a great catch. Now you're going to have a bunch of attorneys micromanage every frame to see them. That's not the spirit of the game, and it's not the spirit of replay. We want replay to stop the egregious calls. If a guy catches a ball and takes 1 step and then his toe is on the line, okay? And we can clearly see it. And they called it a catch. A guy from upstairs should say, that wasn't a catch. You missed that one. Move the game along. I don't want you don't have to look into anything. You don't have to see anything. It should be a guy in the sky, and it has to be egregious. If you have to look at it for more than 10 seconds, move the game. Keep on going.
Well, let me ask you this, JP. How about this one? Let me really get your gears grinding. College football has it right. Whoever said there has to be 2 feet in bounds? You want to avoid injuries? Yeah. Wait a minute. Some of the hardest things, especially one who's played receiver, is to catch the ball and try to keep both feet in bounds as you're getting hit. That's what creates injuries. How about doing it like college does? Catch the ball with 1 foot in bounds. But no.
And have 2 feet in bounds. You got to make a football move.
Wait a minute. How about 1 foot in bounds?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to happen.
You want to avoid injuries? Catch the ball, fall down. Down's over.
By the way, what is a football move? What is a non-football move? You're playing football. Any move you make is a
well, New York knows what it is, okay? I assure you of that. Hang on. Don't worry. Next year,
well, no, that was a move, but it wasn't a football move. He's playing football. They're going to change. They're going to change that explanation next year as well. I don't know, buddy. I don't know, but I'm really glad we brought you on tonight because you got the shit flowing.
Buddy. That's it. It's flowing here.
It is crap.
Last question about the Super Bowl. What the Bucs did just a couple of years ago in Super Bowl 55, do we value that more? Because coming into it, JP and Harry, we thought that Philadelphia could get after it, over 80 sacks, including the postseason. They couldn't touch him. So does that Bucs win look even more amazing with them shutting down Patrick Mahomes and holding them to 9 points? JP first and then Harry.
I mean, we knew it was amazing. It was great. But, I mean, let's not be crazy about this. That offensive line was so beat up that the Bucs took advantage of it, as you should. You see a weakness on a team, you got to consistently, relentlessly attack it. And that's what the Bucs did. And that's why they won the game. As good as Patrick Mahomes is, and he's clearly the best player in the league today, probably the best player of the last 20 years, it's without question, that was a great performance by the Bucs defense, but he was severely handicapped. So I don't want to take anything away from the Bucs because, the Bucs had injuries too. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, beating Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl is a monumental task, and the Bucs deserve full credit for it.
Harry.
Well, honestly, I mean, 2 years ago when the Bucs did hand them their ass, Kansas City was missing the right side of their offensive line, and it was forcing Travis Kelce to stay in and block a little bit more. And it even got worse because they needed Kelce, so they kept throwing him out of the backfield. Tampa Bay kept rushing 5, but nobody remembers that. They just remember the lopsided victory, and as you should remember that because they still won the game. I mean, JP was absolutely correct on it. Don't take anything away from Philadelphia. Philadelphia had to get out of their game plan. They started their game plan in the beginning part of that game, and it's just unfortunate that Jalen Hurts, let me repeat it, Jalen Hurts cost them that football game.
But it also wouldn't have been in the football game without him. He played tremendously well. He played unbelievably well. And that was just kind of an unforced error, and so it's just unfortunate.
Can't make those kind of mistakes, man.
Yeah, no question. But
you just can't make those kind of mistakes.
He had it in my mind. He had a championship performance. That was phenomenal.
He actually outperformed Patrick Mahomes in regards to yards passing.
Yeah, absolutely did.
And again, I can keep preaching it. The better team doesn't always win.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, speaking of greatness, I got to play this. This is a blast from the past here. You're going to see my subject in a moment. Here we go. Young JP Peterson of Channel 8 here interviewing Hall of Famer Rondé Barber. Enjoy here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Stand by, guys.
Stadium with Rondé Barber.
The All-Pro quarterback sealed the deal for Tampa's team with a late-game interception, of course, that touchdown return. Sportsman J.P. Peterson spoke to Rondé about his big plays today, and he joins us live from Philadelphia with more on that. We're proud to think that he's a part of our team,
yes.
JP.
And you know he is. And get this, guys, you're going to love this. We gave him one of those mini cameras. He took it on the plane tonight, so we're going to see some of that video tomorrow. and he's going to do a video diary the entire week out at Super Bowl. So really going to give you some inside scoop with Rondé Barber. Now, Rondé did save his virtuoso performance for one of football's biggest stages tonight. Get this line. Rondé, 3 tackles, 1 sack, 4 passes knocked away, a caused fumble, and the biggest dadgum interception in the history of this franchise. In the fourth quarter, he picked off Donovan McNabb and ran it all the way to San Diego. And we're joined by the co-host of Sunday Sports Extra, Rondé Barber. What you got there, Rondé?
This is the game sealer, NFC Championship, be proudly displayed in my home this year.
And who was the last person to score a touchdown in Veterans Stadium?
I don't mean to be facetious, but it was
Rondé Barber. What does it feel like, man?
It's a great feeling right now. You know, it's listening to prognosticators, everybody saying that we couldn't. Well, I don't think there was anybody on TV this week that gave us a chance. Or
Me?
Well, besides you, that publicly gave us a chance to win this football game. And come in here, shut this stadium down in the fashion that we did it is pretty rewarding.
Talk about the last play. It looked like you were going to blitz. You came out of it, jumped the route. Take me through
That's
it.
exactly what it was, man. We'd been running a couple Bostons at him, me through the B blitz, and it kind of showed that a little bit, and you threw it right to the teeth of cover 2. It's a play that, I have to make. It was almost a gift, but I'll take them any way they come.
What were you thinking about when you intercepted that ball and you're running down the field?
You know what? I wasn't thinking about Simeon getting another penalty, believe me. After last week, it was sweet. It was sweet, man. It was sealing the deal. They went from going making a 3-point game to down by 17. I don't know. I can't put it into words how rewarding it was to do that in this stadium and at that particular time. Shining on the big stage is pretty special.
Rondé, talk about your journey to the Super Bowl. Growing up in Roanoke and coming to the Bucs, a very rough first year.
Oh, yeah.
And you, as Rich McKay just told me, you got better every single year, and you were the best corner in the league this year.
Yeah. It's good to hear him say that because I don't think a lot of other people will convey that same thought. But I work hard at what I do every day, as you know, as a lot of my teammates know as well. And it's a testament to show you should never give up. You should never give up on what you know you're good at doing. And I knew I was going to be good at what I was doing. Put in the blood, sweat, and tears, as they say, and made myself what I am today.
Talk about the total defensive game plan that Monte Kiffin put in. You guys were disguising coverages, blitzing late, blitzing early, blitzing at odd times. You seem to have them off balance.
We definitely did. This was, just like last week, it was one of the best defensive game plans we put together. And we went into this week knowing that we were going to dominate. We knew we were the better team. We looked at it on film from the time before, and we knew we were better. And it was just a matter of us going out and executing our A game. And that's exactly what we did. And it was a big-time dominating performance by us.
How satisfying to come back to this place, your house of horrors, and put it in their face.
Yeah, absolutely. There's fans, particularly right over this end zone right here. That I've had plenty of jarring matches with leaving as a loser. And Dwight Smith probably told me, put it the best way I could say it. He said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're not sick and tired anymore. We're pretty happy right now.
All right, talk about this week. You're going to San Diego. How do you say this is not it? We've got one more game.
Yeah. You know what? Coming into this game, and my big theme to my defensive backs was this is just a game. This isn't the end all. You put this NFC Championship up on a pedestal because it's a huge game. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning, man. We're on a quest, and it doesn't end in Philly when we win. It ends in San Diego when we win, and that's what we're going for right now. That's what we're shooting for.
I know you haven't been here since '76, but there are a lot of long-suffering fans out there that are saying, thank you, Rondé Barber. You have delivered us to the promised land.
Hey, well, I'm glad you're my co-host and could put that out there for them. Thanks, JP.
All right, buddy. Congratulations, and we will see you in San Diego.
Absolutely.
Rondé Barber.
All right, good stuff there, right there, man.
Doggone it. Really? Doggone it. I love it.
Yes,
JP, I didn't realize that was you that did that interview. I actually seen that. You know how many years ago that was?
I know exactly how many years. 20 years ago. My
Holy
voice was a lot
shit.
different back then, and so was Rondé.
JP, what a great interview that was. And Peter, how the hell did you come up with this?
Hey, I'm able to recognize history. History is history. This man right here knows history. He also has a great relationship with Rondé Barber. He was the man on the spot. I got to ask him, how happy are you for Rondé Barber, JP Peterson?
Well, I interviewed him. He came on my show Friday morning after he was named Thursday night. And and we both got a little choked up. I'm here to lie. We both were a little bit teary eyed, just remembering back then because Rondé, he came to me, and we obviously had a great relationship, but then he wanted to get into media, and he'd never done it before. And early on, I'll just be honest with you, it was kind of like his football career. It didn't start well, but I coached him up, and he listened, and we would stay after. We'd finish so he'd play a game like at 1:00, right? And then he'd come to the studio for the home games at 11:00. Then we'd be done by at midnight, and he'd want to go over the tape right after the show. So we'd spend another hour till 1:00 in the morning. Going over the tape, and I'm giving him hints on, how to do this and how to do that, how to watch the video and talk about it and feel the pacing of it. And there's ways to say things, but not throw your teammates under the bus. This is how you have to phrase it. This is how you have to do it. And he was like a sponge, and he became a great broadcaster for Fox. And if you watch him do games over the last, he hasn't done them in a couple of years. And he's, he that could have been him in the booth instead of Greg Olsen. I'm just saying.
No kidding.
For this Super Bowl, he became great at television, and we had a great relationship, and I've just watched him grow into such an amazing, husband and father. Oh my God, he's the best father you'd ever. He's got 2 wonderful daughters, and Justice and Yamil. Just such a beautiful family. His wife Claudia, and he's just, he's the greatest guy I know, and he's such an accomplished person. And it was real. I was really thankful, and he's been there for me. I mean, my God, every time I have a first show on the next job I get, he's always there for me, and there've been a few. So and the thing is, you don't get to know the athletes like that anymore. The times have changed. The athletes are just very, very cynical now, and they don't trust the media, and I don't blame them, by the way. I do not blame them.
Sure.
And you can't, and the teams don't want you to do shows with players anymore. They want to control the narrative. They want to control as much information as they can. And I get that,
that's horseshit. They shouldn't allow that.
Yeah, it's not, I don't like it that way. I don't think it's best for the fans, but I understand it's a business, and that's what the teams want. I get it. I don't like it as a journalist, but it's different times. It's just different times. And I'm just so blessed. And the dadgummit, by the way,
I love it.
That's from my other mentor, Bobby Bowden, who I spent about 15 years with in Tallahassee in my career. And
God rest his soul, JP.
God rest his soul. One of the greatest men I've ever known. And I just love that dadgummit, and I use it all the time.
I got a quick story for JP, and
sure.
I kind of lied. I really don't like to watch a lot of different interviews. I will occasionally. And I have DirecTV, and I pay $1 zillion a month because I have to have every major outlet from every major city so I can see what's going on in the respective cities, especially in sports. In this particular case, I listen to a lot of CSN Chicago, which is Comcast Sports Network, which is channel 665 and DirecTV.
Right.
And on the post-game shows for the Chicago Bears, it's Alex Brown from the University of Florida, Lance Briggs, Olin Kreutz, and a guy by the name of Dave Kaplan. I don't know if you know who Dave Kaplan is, but he eventually just kind of parted ways. But it's very refreshing not to only have one player, but 3 players who actually know the game inside and out. And to watch the raw emotions as Rondé Barber did during your interview,
yeah,
that's what it's about. So why doesn't the NFL want to have that? Because that's what the fans want.
It's exactly.
Do they have to control every dollar?
Yes, because they want to regulate like anything else. They want to have the hard knocks. They want to take you behind the curtain, but they want to make money off of it for their league.
And
that's it. That is the slow death of local sports television. Because growing up, I used to watch sports. I used to watch this man right here, and the sports broadcast was like 10 to 15 minutes. Now you're barely close to like 3 or 5 minutes. It's not enough time to talk about sports, but because of the evolution, if you will, of ESPN and Fox Sports and all these broadcasting outlets, and because the Bucs have their own broadcasting entity, that's right. Why it's cut down to that. So
and Roberto said it, former Major League Baseball player. Everybody knows he's been a friend of mine for many years. All-time saves leader here in Tampa Bay, all-time saves leader up in the Chicago area. He said that when he was here in Tampa, he had made an anonymous donation and let's just say it was extremely sizable to a particular charity that was very important to him. He didn't want the newspapers to find out about it. He didn't care. He didn't want the publicity. Well, when the Tampa Bay Rays had found out about it, they started blasting it through their media outlets.
Right.
And Roberto went, wait a minute. I didn't authorize you to do that.
No.
You get to control me on what I can do, but whatever I do, you have control over? Oh, no. It don't work that way. You know, I don't get that.
That doesn't surprise me that the Rays would do that.
No.
They wanted to take credit for it. One of their players gave a sizable donation, and he wanted it to be anonymous. And
that's all he wanted to do was be anonymous. He didn't want to be accepted because you know what it is. Because when you're a friendly athlete who wants to go ahead and I'm going to give you for instance. It was less than a year ago. I went over here to Brooklyn Pizza in Seminole. Great pizza, by the way. If you ever get a chance and you're in Seminole, you want to go there. I invited him, his grandson, and his son out. My wife and I were sitting outside, and we're sitting outside. We're eating, and right in the middle of eating, and he's drinking a couple of beers. This guy comes out and he goes, "Hey, that's Roberto Hernandez." And I'm like, it's okay. And Roberto's like, no, it's okay. In the middle of his food, he put it down, sit there, talk to the fan for a minute, signed whatever he wanted, and they were lining up to the door.
Oh,
and it never bothered him this much. And I says, "Bro, I'm really sorry." And he goes, "You want to know something, Harry?" He says, "What?" He says, "I enjoy it." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, I says, "Can you expound on it?" And in quote unquote, the best thing I ever heard. He says, "The day they don't remember is the day I'm going to be sad."
Yeah.
And he says, "And I lived and died by that since the day I went into the major leagues."
Good for him.
How about that, man?
It's amazing.
How about that? But Pete Rose, okay, on the other hand, when I'm at Tampa Bay Downs, you want to talk about an asshat, okay? And I've known Pete for I've known Pete for I can't tell you how many years. A guy comes up and he goes, "Hey, Greek," he's telling me in Greek, "Who do I like?" The guy doesn't speak very good English. Pete's sitting to my left. He's got his fanny pack on with about 25 dimes on him, never wins in his life. And he turns around, he's asking me in Greek, "Hey, Harry, you got an extra 20? I don't get paid till Friday." And I'm just sitting there communicating. Pete goes, "Hey, yeah, I'm Pete Rose. What is it? What do you care?" And I'm like, "Pete, calm down. The guy left. What's going on?" And he goes, I can't stand the fans anymore. I mean, they want me to sign this. They want me to do this. They want me to do that." I said, "Pete, the guy doesn't speak English. He doesn't even know baseball, let alone who the hell you are."
Yeah, that's it. All right, I got to ask you because I
thought you'd love that one.
That's great. That's a great story. I know that you got to run here, JP.
Never meet your idols.
That's it. It's I did that in '95 when I won the first baseball game from the TJ Reeves show, and Mike Piazza was out there signing autographs, and I was trying to get an autograph at the time, and he basically put his hand up and goes, "I'm not signing any autographs at this point."
Really?
So a bunch of kids. Yeah, we were at the game, and of course, at the end of the game, we were looking for autographs at that point. And Mike Piazza was like, "Yeah." So he was like, "Yeah." That's what he was. So
JP doesn't have to go, man. This is the best guest you've had on here in years.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, he's a great guest. JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show. Once again, Monday and Fridays on YouTube, Facebook, 10 to 12. Like I said, it gets me through my day. I do a sales job. I just want to sometimes, I don't know, just
take live phone calls.
We don't, unfortunately.
If you do, you're going to get the Greek come hunting you.
I'll get you on. We can get you on. We have live guests, but we don't take phone calls from the general public. But we have live guests on all the time.
I tell you right now, he's a great guest. With that being said, are you surprised by the Tom Brady situation? Not only did he retire, but it looks like the Bucs are about to eat $35 million of that cap. Does that tell you that the Bucs are in a full rebuild? Because all I hear is Todd Bowles saying, "We're not going to rebuild. We're going to retool. We're going to reload." Kyle Trask has been talked about. I thought Derek Carr would be a great acquisition if they could get him. Jimmy Garoppolo. But what do they do at this point? Because every time I hear BA talk about Kyle Trask, he says, and this was on a Radio Row last week, "We love Kyle Trask, but..." And it's almost like Ricky Bobby, like he's insulting his boss. I like you. That's a great idea, but we're going to look at door number 2. I mean, what do you make of this situation? Because to me, if he's your franchise quarterback, you go with them as your franchise quarterback. There is no door number 2. There is no other options. Make some sense of what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing right now.
Do tell, please.
Well, I don't think we have enough information, so we're trying to take all these puzzle pieces and figure out what the hell they're going to do.
Yeah.
First thing we know is nobody wants the offensive coordinator's job. So what that tells me is that everybody knows in this league that Todd Bowles is a lame duck. That the Bucs are not bringing in a big time quarterback. If they were, Todd Monken would be interested in the job, and he's not. All of the number one, Dan Pitcher went back to Cincinnati. All the good choices are either gone or are not interested in the job. So that tells me the league knows that he's a lame duck. And they could have gone after Derek Carr. It looks like they're not going to. The Saints are in worse cap trouble than the Buccaneers, but somehow they're going to figure it out. And it doesn't look like the Bucs are interested in Derek Carr. So to me, and the Brady piece is interesting because by Brady putting in his retirement papers, as far as I understand this now he could later come back and sign a contract, a 1-year contract, and they could push the money down further and only do $10 million this year, $24 million next year. That could still happen, but to me, that tells me that Brady did not want to sign a contract now to leave his options open. He doesn't want, because if he signed a contract right now with the Bucs, then he would be their property, and if he didn't want to come back and play, then the Bucs would want compensation. And I know he doesn't want to be put in that situation again because he was burned on it last year, and the Bucs essentially called his bluff and made him come back and play with them. So by Brady not doing that, it kind of tells me that the Bucs are going to have to take all that cap and now eat it this year. And if they're doing that, then they can't really go out and find a good quarterback. They could get a Jacoby Brissett. They could get maybe a Baker Mayfield to compete with Kyle Trask, or maybe bring Blaine Gabbert back. Who knows?
Right.
But all those things being said, it looks like to me that they're going to go rebuild, because if they were going to, Derek Carr would be the guy if you were going to kind of stopgap it and say, look, this division, and I thought this would be a good plan. This division is winnable. You still have a decent core here. If you have a great draft and you have Mike Evans and Godwin is back to being Godwin, you get a third receiver in the draft, or Devin Tompkins can help you out a little bit as well. You get some good pieces and you hit on a second, third, and fourth round pick like the Chiefs did. Hey, who hell knows? The NFC is still pretty weak, and you could make a run. I thought that would be a good play, but I think if you have to eat all that Brady cap money this year, if you're forced to do that, then you can't go that middle ground. You can't go get Derek Carr. You just don't have the salary cap money. You can't bring back the guys you need to bring back to be competitive. So I think, to me, all things point to a complete rebuild.
So then why not fire Todd Bowles in the first place?
Because he'd be the caretaker for the year. I mean, if you got to, so what you're saying now is this late in the process, you're going to go out and find your forever coach, your next coach.
Right. Well, I would have done it before. I mean, for me, I have doubts with Todd Bowles at the end of the day, clock management. I think there's coaches out there that are better coordinators, if you will, a la Dirk Cutter, right? Offensive coordinator at first, maybe not later on, but as a coordinator, fine. But as a coach out there that's going to handle those clock management situations, all that other stuff, I think there's a lot put into it. And I'm not sure that Todd Bowles is the guy for it. And, a lot of people say, well, what about Sean Payton? Why not Sean Payton at the time? Why didn't
Can't afford him, Pete.
But why didn't
we're going to cut? You're going to give your whole franchise away. Enough of that. Let me dig my 2 cents in here.
Okay.
Everybody and their mother wants to get rid of Todd Bowles. It's not the coach here. I mean, let's analyze something. Tom Brady didn't want to play for this team last year. The Bucs forced his hands back into it. They should have let him go last year. 2, you had your former, he had his head coach fired. Okay. These are players talking about it when Bruce Arians. Now you've put your interim coach, who you've made your head coach, and now you brought the guy back to sit on your sideline. Listen, this man never had a chance from Jump Street. Maybe this year he might be able to install an offense where it's going to be a run-first mentality, play defense, and when you have, like JP was talking about, that core players where you have Godwin, you bring in a third wide receiver, and you have Mike Evans, Now you're going to have a well-balanced team who I think could actually be better this year coming up than it was last year. And yes, even with a Kyle Trask at quarterback. Now, is he going to be the ideal fit? Who the hell knows? Nobody knows if he's going to be any good because he really hasn't had the playing time. And you're right.
Yeah.
Get used to it, Buck fans. You're not getting Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe, but you're definitely not going to get Derek Carr. You don't have the money to pay for it. You better start settling for people like a Davis Mills that possibly can come to you, who could be a really good quarterback for this team, or give this man a chance. How about the guy that's been in the system for, 100 years, Blaine Gabbert?
But the problem is there is no system. So if they were realistically going to go with the Gabbert or Trask, why not keep Byron Leftwich on, keep them all on? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I get it. Leftwich was terrible as an offensive coordinator, but at least you could hang your hat on the fact that Trask knew that system, that Gabbert knew that system. Now, basically what you're telling me in the 3 years, a young quarterback that you want to develop has another different offensive coordinator. How did that work out for Jameis Winston? How has that worked out for Jason Campbell and Alex Smith? And of course, Derek Carr, who had 6 offensive coordinators in 9 years. It makes no sense. At the end of the day, if you're going to reset and go with the full rebuild, tear it all down. Don't do it half-assed.
I don't think they have to. Not in this division. This division sucks, Pete. This division is completely winnable. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah.
How would you like to hire a guy, an OC, a proven OC, one of the best OCs in the NFL in the last 15 years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Who has worked with Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady?
I know where you're going. I know where you're going on this. I mean, why not? Why not? Why can't he come back? Let's talk about that really quick. Is that a possibility? That
what are you gonna hire Thomas Brown, who's the tight ends coach at the Rams? Is their next? You're gonna hire that? I mean, he may be the next up and coming great offensive coordinator. I don't know him from Adam.
Right.
He was at the University of Miami for a couple of years, but I don't. As far as I know, he's never called plays in the NFL. I know a guy that has, and he's been around for. It's like, hey, Bruce, throw the headset back on. And you know what? Bruce Arians, and I'll tell you this right now, he would love to come back and take a Blaine Gabbert and a Kyle Trask and score more than 18 points a game. Because
especially to the guy who had him fired and having him replaced. Okay, yeah, but you know what? To my point,
exactly.
But you know what? I love it, and I love it. But you know what?
Wouldn't it be awesome?
It would be awesome. Because that's what they were missing last year. They were missing that
poetic justice. But if you go back to last year, JP, you remember this when they were playing Dallas in the second game. The first 2 games they were very well balanced, and you win, and you're playing good football. And then all of a sudden, you're throwing the ball. I don't know. Here's a ridiculous stat:
66
almost
times versus the Cowboys.
Hold on. No.
Well,
hold on. Here, JP, figure this one out. And here's a stat for you. And I hate stats, just like PFF grades. They make me want to scratch my skin off my body. I'm tired of hearing about it. But what's a glaring stat is this: almost 800 times passing the ball this year, and less than 350 rushes. And out of those 350 rushes, JP, you ready for this? 2/3 of them were on first down. Okay, just think about that statistic.
Right.
Listen, you have a young quarterback here. You have a veteran quarterback here. They can both play football. You bring in an offensive mind who wants to run the football first with, by the way, 2 running backs with very low mileage on the tires. Okay, I don't know if anybody knew that or not. And when you do get safeties and corners, and I've watched this all year long, I didn't watch one game, JP, after game 3 of this year where a safety or a corner was sneaking into the backfield like this looking. They stayed in the soft shell because they knew they were going to throw the ball all over the place.
Right.
You get somebody to get in there to play the run a little bit, and you got Evans and Godwin out there, and God forbid you bring in someone to replace what they're missing from Antonio Brown. Yeah. Brother, let me tell you something. This team will score more than 18 points a game. And they will win 10 to 13 games with this defense and that offense. You just got to fix that offensive line and have a run-first mentality.
But the problem is I don't have confidence that Todd Bowles, who's a defensive mind, can do anything for a young quarterback. If BA were on the staff, okay, I'm willing to buy that.
I'd love to see that.
JP,
too. I don't think it's going to happen. It's just
never is going to happen.
Too weird of a juxtaposition because Bruce was the head coach and now Todd would be the head coach and he would be the OC. I kind of throw these things out there because I think it's hilarious, but I guarantee you there's a part of Bruce Arians that would love to do it. that would absolutely love to do it. I don't know if his health would even allow that to happen, but it'll be interesting to see what they come up with, because at this point, nobody wants the damn job. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, JP,
yes,
I got to say this while everybody's watching, while you're still on the air. I think I love this guy. He's the chef of the shit soup. He's like me. I mean, let's just keep stirring that pot. But you know what? It makes sense. I love it too, and it makes sense. You know what?
He's the best. He's the best offensive coordinator available. I can tell you that.
He is. And do you feel like Brady handicapped this team, if you will, because of all the demands? We heard about the friction.
Go ahead. You can say, JP. It's therapeutic.
Brady.
Go ahead.
Is it more of Brady's fault than anybody else? Not just the coaching and Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles. Is this a lot of blame on Tom Brady because of the friction?
I'm not new to this take like a lot of people in this town. Tom Brady played terrible this year. He played terrible this year. He played terrible all year long. He had a few moments at the end of games, but he was not in sync with his receivers. I mean, just look at the body language from Mike Evans. He wasn't in sync with his receivers. I think there was some bad feelings in the locker room about, the training camp thing. In fact, I know there were. And,
just the training camp thing? Really?
No, not just the training camp
How about hanging out with his old boss, missing the walkthrough, or,
not coming back for the walkthrough, not coming back the night of the crap wedding was complete bullshit. And you saw what happened to the team. They lose to, a Pittsburgh Steelers team that had, FedEx guys in the secondary that day. It was ridiculous. And then the next week they lose to the Carolina Panthers, whose ownership had completely capitulated, got rid of their two best players and fired the coaching staff. And the Bucs get boat raced in that game, 21-3. No, it was dysfunctional from day one. Brady wasn't Brady last year. He admitted to that. And then, the thing that was most underplayed the whole year was, week 10, Brady goes on his podcast and says our team's game day effort is embarrassing. You can't say something worse about a head coach than that. You cannot indict your head coach more than to say our game day effort is embarrassing.
He's untouchable, JP. He had his head coach fired.
You think the other players enjoyed hearing Tom Brady say that their game day effort is embarrassing? He wasn't wrong. I'm not going to tell him. I'm not saying he's wrong.
Right.
But no, Brady's Brady. His legacy will never be touched. He's the greatest to ever do it. And I think he's an amazing player. But this was not a good year. This was not a Brady year. And if you're going to sit there and say it was everybody else's fault, and listen, Byron Leftwich is not a great offensive coordinator. I'm not a guy. I mean, look what Mahomes made on the run. Look how many plays Jalen Hurts made. The entire Eagles offense is based on his running ability and his RPO ability. And if you're not moving your quarterback and your quarterback's not waggling and rolling out and RPOing and zone reading in the modern day game, you got no offense. You got no options. And Byron Leftwich didn't have a whole lot of options with a standstill quarterback back there. And it was tough. It was tough. It was tough for everybody. And that's why the offense was so freaking bad. He couldn't move. He capitulated. He threw the ball away too early. Didn't let plays develop. It was not good. It was not good.
Let me ask you this. If they have BA, what's the record? Do they win more than over 8 games? And do you feel like – I don't know. I think BA –
Not this past year. Not with all that passing. I think they would have thrown for 80 times a game.
Well, I think you look at the previous 2 years there with BA running the offense. I think
actually I've been very indicting to Bruce Arians in the past, but I'll be honest with you. If Bruce Arians was calling the offensive plays this year as damaged that they were, especially on that offensive line, even Bruce Arians would have told Tom Brady where to stick it and said, look, we've got to run the football to set up the play action pass. I mean, he's one of the better offensive gurus in the entire game of football. But, man, I never believed in that risk it, no biscuit mentality, but he's always had an offensive line. What do you think, JP?
But would Arians have made a difference last year? Absolutely. Yep. And I think more in terms of accountability. The team was much more accountable under BA because he would hold them accountable publicly. Guys knew it. And they also knew Todd Bowles would never do it. He would never throw anybody under the bus. He would never, and not that Bruce Arians did, but Bruce called out Tom Brady publicly. And that set the tone right there, right away, that listen, you guys screw up, everybody's going to know about it. And that's fine. For me, that's fine. If you have a relationship with your players where they know that you're going to back them, but you're also going to be critical of them to make everybody better and hold them accountable. Nobody was held accountable on this team this year. It was ridiculous. I mean, they're making, as Bowles said it himself, that was a day one install mistake that left CeeDee Lamb wide ass open in the end zone in the playoff game. And if you're having those type of mistakes, then these guys aren't playing with an edge. They're not playing. They're not focused. There's no accountability. And you looked all year long, guys are making the same mistakes. If a guy makes the same mistake over and over again, as they say, you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. That's a lack of accountability. It's why I love Todd Bowles as a man and as a defensive coordinator. I think he's an awesome dude, but I think there's enough evidence from his New York days and what we saw this year that he's not a great head coach. So there's so much crap going on. It wasn't just Brady's fault. It wasn't Leftwich's fault. It wasn't just Bowles' fault. It was the whole damn thing. And it started when Brady wanted to go to Miami, and everybody knew it. And it was dysfunctional from that moment on.
All right, my friend. I know you got to get out of here. Thanks a lot for your time. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk.
It's the JP Peterson Show each day, Monday through Friday from 10 to 12. You can watch us now on RHS TV. Download that app. You can download our app, which is audio only, FanStream Sports. So you can tap that app and listen to the show anytime, anywhere. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, the JP Peterson Show on our channel. Please subscribe to that. And we're live on Twitter as well. So everywhere you can, plus Apple and Spotify as a podcast as well. So you can listen to it anywhere, anytime.
There you go. And he's not going to be a stranger on this show. It's JP Peterson. Thanks a lot for your time here.
It was fun, guys.
Yes,
JP,
sir.
you're awesome, dude.
See you later. Also,
awesome.
Go Bolts.
Yes. Tomorrow. See you guys.
We got to get together, JP. Have a good night, buddy.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on the show. Thanks, guys.
Whenever you need me, sir. Whenever you need me.
There we go. Good stuff there, JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show. I know you got to run. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Sports Web.
First off, man, that was awesome. He really was your best guest you've had in moons, buddy. I mean, and where did you get that footage? I actually remember that.
Yeah, you have to dig a little bit. You have to dig. You got to do a little bit of homework, and you go from there. So I would just.
Where can you find me? I'm Harry the Greek, as you know. If I pissed you off, I did my job. That's what I try to do. And don't forget, before you go to bed tonight, say your prayers and say them to Kyle Trask. As I say, keep your bets low and your returns high. Peter Blake, we love you, brother, and thank you so much. You have a call coming in?
I do. I'm trying to see who this is. All right, welcome to the Evolution. You're on with yours truly, along with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Travis Faley with Rocket Sports Entertainment. I would love to talk to Harry the Greek and Peter Blake about the game yesterday.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
This guy sucks.
Hi, Travis.
What's up,
Hello,
Travis?
gentlemen. Hey, how about we talk a little bit about Nick Sirianni not taking 2 weeks and 90 minutes to figure out how to sack Patrick Mahomes yesterday. How about we talk a little bit about that instead of this, oh, it was a penalty, it wasn't a penalty. I'll tell you why it was a penalty. Because they got beat on that whip move twice for touchdowns.
Correct.
That was the same kind of move that Juju was running. And did he grab him? Yeah, he actually grabbed him twice. He initiated the first little pull, and then when he wrapped that left arm around him, yes, was it a little bit ticky-tack? But if he doesn't do that hold at that time, that could have been another touchdown, even though it didn't look like the ball was going to be able to be caught. But you had to throw that flag. And let's talk about, if you guys are talking about the game could be fixed. Oh, the refs could be doing this. What about the Goddard catch? If they wanted KC to win the game, then the Goddard catch wouldn't have been a catch.
Right. I mean, there's all kinds of instances in that game and all throughout the year. I get it. And that's the problem. See, and I go back to what JP said. It's the consistency. You don't call that all game, and then at the most critical time, you call that. Right.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
3.2 yards a carry for Philadelphia. In comparison to KC, 6 yards a carry for KC, who stayed with the running game.
Right.
What about, once again, Philadelphia having the third worst special teams in the league? What happens? Longest punt return in Super Bowl history. So let's get away from the was it a penalty or was it not? Philadelphia had every opportunity to win that game, and when push came to shove, experience mattered.
It's a great point because Andy Reid comes in there, and to me, Reid is like the John Elway of coaching, right? I mean, he has all this experience. He also has all this success, but he's not able to get over the top. And then the last couple of years with the Kansas City Chiefs, he's able to win 2 here in the last 4 years. Harry, you want to get out of here? You want to hang out here for a little bit?
I got to go. Travis, thank you so much for calling in. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure. As I always say, keep your bets low and your returns high. I had to keep thinking myself here. It's so late in the day. It's been a really, really long day. Hey, Travis.
I get hot knowledge. I get hot takes and hot knowledge, and it confuses and
it baffles. Yeah.
He's now got to hang up the phone because I just frazzled him with hot takes and hot knowledge.
He's speechless at this point. Woo! Exactly. Good stuff, Harry.
You guys have a really good night. Thank you for having me on. You'll see me on the next. I don't know when the next time I'm going to be on, other than on the Sports Web on Wednesday. Have a good evening, everybody.
All right, thanks a lot, Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. Let's bring it back here with Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, my Around the NFL correspondent, of course, Tampa Bay Lightning insider. Let's go back to that game. You're exactly right, because talking to Harry on the over-under, he put the key facet for the Chiefs to win this game was to run the ball. They were able to run the ball for over 125 yards, and that really was the difference in the game. For me, Philadelphia wasn't able to run the ball. They weren't able to stop the run. And furthermore, like you said, they weren't able to get after Patrick Mahomes.
And also, 3rd and 11, huge play on 3rd and 11 for Philadelphia. Instead of going for the first down, they threw the ball short and made it a 4th and 6 when they kicked the field goal. They had guys running under routes instead of going past the sticks to get the first down, to go for the jugular and get the touchdown. Instead, they kicked the field goal, and it came back to haunt them all the way around, Pete. There's so many little things in that second half that really caused Philadelphia to lose that game. They had penalties in the second half that hurt. You know who didn't have penalties in the second half? KC. 0 penalties, 0 turnovers. They pretty much played a flawless second half. And I think Mahomes' passer rating in the second half was 132 at a possible 100 and what's it, Pete? What's it, 135.8 or whatever it was.
Right.
It was almost perfect.
Ridiculous. So, you look at his numbers, 21 for 27, 182, 3 touchdowns, but really the numbers don't tell the story. What tells the story is what happens at halftime. And what you hear is, the team they didn't have that energy. Patrick Mahomes says, wake up, let's get it together, let's go. And I feel like it's the motivation from a couple years ago where they were thoroughly embarrassed by that Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense, not able to score a touchdown with Tyreek Hill. It seemed like they were on a mission, especially that first drive, because look, at the Eagles stopped them that first drive. Then you're talking about 24-14, and I feel like the Eagles at that point can take over the game, but they score a quick touchdown. They go right down the Philadelphia Eagles' throat. They make it 24-21, and at that juncture, you have a game.
Well, what was interesting was the fact that, and I learned this yesterday because there was a big party and a lot of hubbub going on. I didn't know that KC actually won the toss and deferred, because you knew that, Philadelphia 11 times this year scored on their first drive, and they're pretty deadly on that first drive. So
correct.
They go right down the field, and then Casey comes back and matches them. So, it sort of sucks that the game did, turn on that last play. Not on the last play, but obviously on the penalty call. And it sucks that we didn't get a chance to see Casey have the opportunity to stop him. But there are other plays in that game that you can really look at. It's never always just one play. There are so many little plays in that second half that turn the tide. And you got the best player in the game, and you got one of the greatest. You got a Hall of Fame coach, and you guys got experience, man. There's a lot of little things. They made adjustments, and Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator from KC, should get a whole lot of props for the job he did in that second half.
Absolutely.
They changed things up. And did they get a lot of pressure on him? No, they didn't. But they also pulled Chris Jones off at times, so they can manage underneath and the taking off of Hurts. So it's a lot of little things in that game really turned the tide for Kansas City.
Absolutely. Now the D word has been mentioned. That's dynasty. Could you see that? Are they in dynasty mode right now? Because people say 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. Patrick Mahomes being 26, 27. I believe he's 27 years old, doing what he's done here. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, of course, 2 NFL MVPs. Pretty amazing statistics. If he could stay healthy, I mean, are you thinking that this team already is in dynasty mode, or do they have to do a little bit more, in your opinion?
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are the Tampa Bay Lightning a dynasty?
To me, they are, yes.
Well, there's your answer right
there. Okay.
You got a team.
Right.
You got a team right there that's went to the Super Bowl, 3 out of the last 4 years and won 2 of them? That's pretty considerable. You look at what the Lightning did and what the Lightning have done. Yes. Did they lose their last Stanley Cup? Did they win 2 in a row? Yeah, and they've been there pretty much every year for the last 10 years, competing strong. So I would say at this point, Casey's a dynasty.
Okay.
You know,
right. Yeah. What about Jalen Hurts? Because
I don't really think about it all that much. People, you put me on the spot. So
that's what I do here on the Sports Web. I got to ask the questions. That's why I get paid the big bucks I get paid. I guess.
By the way, I hated your conversation about the NFL being possibly fixing and the referees and all that stuff. I hated that.
But it made you think about it just a little bit, and I think there's a lot of fans out there that are thinking the same thing. Too many times this year, there have been critical plays where there are funny penalties called, and I think the gambling aspect has, kind of crept into everybody's mind, and you've opened up Pandora's box to say, you know what, this is maybe not competitive sports. This is sports entertainment, as the great Richard Blake would say.
No, let's not even start with that shenanigans.
I'm just saying.
Seriously, though, let's hear about what are these plays, Pete?
Well, how about the Cincinnati game where you give the Kansas City Chiefs 2 extra downs at that point? You got 5 downs. How about that? How about you don't call interference the whole game, and then you call interference in the critical moments? I get it. It's not just one team, but you could definitely sit there and say something's fishy there. And even Dan Patrick said it today. He feels like you want to see a game end not in a penalty where you give second life to the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to see a game end where Kansas City.
Don't grab the guy's jersey. Don't grab the guy's jersey and wrap him around the corner.
I agree.
I
agree.
Don't let the referees, decide the game. That's the old adage.
That's
right?
a fair point.
Win the game and don't let the refs decide. It's the old boxing thing. Put the guy on the ground, knock him out, and be done with it. And Philadelphia had the opportunity. They were up 10 points at the half. They were up 14 points in that game. And what happened? They lost.
Yeah, they lost.
They did make the adjustments, and Andy Reid made the adjustments at halftime and used that damn whip play 3 times. And we're successful on 2 for touchdowns and 1 on the game-deciding penalty.
Wide open, and I all kinds of coverage breakdowns. Again, I thought I was watching a Todd Bowles defense this year, especially against the Cowboys, because so many Cowboy wide receivers were open, namely the tight end and CD Lamb. We're on with Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Our Around the NFL correspondent, Tampa Bay Lightning insider. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Jalen Hurts, 27 for 38, 304, 1 touchdown. 15 for 70 rushing, 3 touchdowns there. Harry the Greek said he sucks in his opinion because he fumbles the ball, gives all the momentum to Kansas City. I think he was ultra critical there.
Zero.
I think
way too critical.
Right. I feel like Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of the future. And if they hold on to him, and I think they're going to, and sign him to an extension and keep that core group together, namely improve that defense, I feel like you may see Philadelphia here in the next couple of years hang around because they have a young quarterback. What do you think about Mr. Jalen Hurts, his play last night against the Chiefs?
It was fantastic. He beats basically any other team and any other quarterback in the game. I mean, you're playing up against the best quarterback in the game and arguably the best player in football. I think Philadelphia will be back, but they're not going to have that cakewalk schedule like they had this year. They played against the AFC South with Jacksonville and Houston and all those guys, and they played against the NFC North, which had a bunch of bad teams in it. And when did they catch Kirk Cousins? In a night game, and they destroyed Minnesota. They didn't play anyone the whole season, Pete. They played the New York Giants 3 times and Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
They played Kirk Cousins. Other than that, name me and Trevor Lawrence early in the season when they didn't have anything going on yet, until they were finally able to get together and get in sync and make that playoff run. So, Philadelphia, did they have a great offensive line, a great defensive line? They could lose 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen in the offseason if they both decide to retire.
Yeah, that's true. Kelsey's one of those. Of course, it was set up for Kelsey versus Kelsey. Are you annoyed by Travis Kelsey with the narrative of nobody thought we were going to win? I mean, you're number one seed. You got Patrick Mahomes, probably, if not the best quarterback in the whole league. I mean, why is he putting it out there? Nobody thought we were going to win. There were plenty of people that thought the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win that game,
including the guy you're talking to on the phone right now.
Well, there you go. And I didn't think they were going to win because of the defense. I thought the defense could get after it. But does it become a little bit annoying in sports, in your opinion, where that narrative is thrown out? Nobody thought we were going to win. Come on, man. You're the number one seed.
Every time, if that guy's not playing football on the field, but he's running his mouth, I don't want to hear it. I don't. What do I need to listen to?
What's
Travis
more
Kelce
annoying to
spout
you?
his garbage?
What's more annoying, Travis Kelce or Jackson Mahomes on TikTok? What's more annoying?
I don't do the whole TikTok thing, so I don't know the Kelce thing that nobody thought we were going to win. I think that's complete garbage. I don't know why he's spouting off that nonsense when once again you're saying it. They were the number one seed in the AFC. They got the best player in the world and arguably the best tight end that ever played the game. And you're sitting there saying, "Oh, nobody thought that we were going to win." Give me a break. Give me a break. You think you're disrespected by the media? No, because you had a bunch of jackass Philadelphia fans running roughshod in Arizona saying, "We're number one. We're going to beat your asses." That's because that's what Philly fan does, and they throw batteries at people. So
and they boo Hall of Famers and also trash Santa Claus. We're on with Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. What do you make of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation with Tom Brady and this organization basically telling you in so many words, we're going to take on that $35 million cap hit? Because I was under the impression, Travis, that they were going to kind of spread this out a little bit here, more next year. Now they're taking on the full brunt of it. In your opinion, do you feel like they're rebuilding? And if you're going to rebuild, why not tear it all down, get as many picks as possible, start Kyle Trask, see what he can do? And see, even then, if you tear it all down, then people will say, well, Kyle Trask didn't get enough time. He didn't get enough players around him. I say, you know what? Do a 2-year rebuild. If you want to really do that and you want to collapse for Caleb, do a 2-year rebuild, tear it all down, and let's see what the kids got. Because I feel like the Bucs, they haven't been direct in their approach. If they wanted to go with Kyle Trask in the first place, you go off of Tom Brady last year, you go with Kyle Trask. Much like, and I'll throw this out there, right? Alex Smith is a pretty damn good quarterback for Kansas City. In fact, I believe he takes them to the playoffs, and they get to a position where they drafted Patrick Mahomes the year before, and he's coming into his second year, and basically Andy Reid stands up and says, you know what? We're going to trade Alex Smith to the Washington football team, and we're going to run with Patrick Mahomes. Why have the Bucs been so non-committal on Trask?
Obviously, they see him every day in practice. The same thing
right.
with Jordan Love. Why do you think the Packers haven't said, hey, there you go, Aaron Rodgers, pack sand? Because they don't have the confidence in Jordan Love to lead this football team. And if I was the Buccaneers, would you really want to redo this thing all over again when you still have some quality players and a quality defense? When you could get a Garoppolo or you could get a Derek Carr or even Baker Mayfield over starting a pure basic rookie? Do you want that with a guy like Mike Evans and Godwin and some of the other quality players?
Not me. I don't want it, but there's a lot of fans out there that have selective amnesia.
That's why they're called fans. Pete.
Right.
They're not.
I get it, and I understand he has potential and what he did with the Florida Gators. And I've gotten into this with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy because he feels like this kid's got something. He was tutored under Tom Brady the last 2 years, so he learned something. He's under BA. I get all that, but there's a reason why the Bucs decided not to go with him in the first place. Because look, and I put this out on my post, and you can say whatever you want to. For me, it's like a relationship. It's a toxic relationship between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Kyle Trask. And if he is your guy, there is no door number 2. There is no options. He is your franchise quarterback. You build around him. You try to make him as successful as you can by putting the pieces around him so he can succeed if he is your guy, and I feel like he isn't the guy.
Well, you got Ray driving the Homer bus on a regular basis.
Right,
so,
right.
I don't know if he's getting, he's financed by the Homer bus or what, but he definitely has.
I love Tampa Bay Ray. I love his passion, but it's like you forget, my friend, that the Bucs have never been able to develop a young quarterback besides Doug Williams, and they let him walk out the door and win a Super Bowl with the team, the Washington Redskins at the time. I continue to say this, and the Bucs have the talent. I feel like they underachieved, and I also think they were handcuffed by Tom Brady. Say whatever you want to, but he was not playing at a top level. He is 45, 46 years old. He doesn't have the mobility. What if you got a Derek Carr? What if you got a Jimmy Garoppolo? Even a Baker Mayfield? But if the top quarterback on the market is Derek Carr, then they got to make that move because that window is going to close eventually. I'm not ready to close that window. And to tell you the truth, I don't think Todd Bowles or Jason Light is ready to sign off on that either.
No, the NFC South is wide open. Whoever gets the top flight free agent quarterback is the team that's going to win the division. And it's about making the playoffs and competing for a Super Bowl, because we saw it a few years ago with the Buccaneers. If your defense gets hot, your team gets hot at the right time, it could win a Super Bowl, just like the Rams did last year. So it's possible, and you don't need a monster. You need a guy that can get you there. I think we've seen that.
Yeah.
And I think Carr can get you there with the right pieces, but his lack of consistency and the opportunities that he had with the Raiders, and they just didn't get it done. And he couldn't get it done. And numerous times to possibly make the playoffs, and when push come to shove, and when they needed a win, he couldn't get it done. So what you want, that's a big problem. You got Derek Carr and you got Garoppolo. Garoppolo can't stay healthy, and Derek Carr is just not the man. So like you're saying, do you run with Trask, or do you just start over, or do you go after maybe a Mayfield? I don't know. You're sort of in the middle of what do I do land.
Yeah, well, I feel like if you go with Kyle Trask and he gets you 6 to 8 wins, then it defeats the purpose. And basically, he is your future quarterback, because you're not going to be able to draft one of the young prospects out there, namely a Caleb Williams. If you're going to tear it down, you tear it down. You get rid of all your veterans. You trade them for picks. Not Mike Evans, because he's a $21 million cap hit, unless you're willing to do with the Bears. I look at the Bears, right? And the Bears tear it all down. And now you've got over $100 million, and you got a young quarterback in place. The problem is, again, I keep on going back to it. Do they feel like Kyle Trask is the guy? We shall find out very soon. Speaking of quarterbacks, Justin Fields, do you believe in him? Do you feel like the Bears are going to trade that number 1 pick? Do you believe the nonsense that was put out there a couple weeks ago by Warren Sapp, saying the Bears would be interested in trading a Justin Fields to draft a Bryce Young out of Alabama?
Warren Sapp was just looking to get clicks.
Okay.
That was a clickbait statement. The Bears are going to stay the course. We talked about this before. They're going to stay the course with Fields while they got him under a minimal deal. It's the same with Hurts. They're not going to have to pay him the big money for at least another 2 years. So you run with them this year. You learn the offense. You bring guys in. You run with them next year. Hopefully you saw considerable progress. So you know how it is in the NFL. The third year for a quarterback is where you get the most progress. That's where Jalen Hurts really came to fruition this year, had the same consistent coaching staff, and that's where you're going to see with Fields next year. And if you can learn to read a defense and not have to run for his life, you're going to see a considerable progress. They're going to have a 4th place schedule next year, so they're going to have a pretty decent schedule. You can see that team turn around next year and either make the playoffs or sniff the playoffs. They're going to be at least an 8-win team next year, 8 to 9 win team next year.
You're the general manager of the Chicago Bears, so you take a number 1 pick if you stay there. Who are you trading out for? Are you going after Will Anderson? Are you going after Jalen Carter? Or are you going to address that offensive line?
All of the above, hopefully, Pete.
Well, you got one choice here, Travis. So one choice, unless you trade out and get multiple players.
We're going to move back.
Okay.
We're going to try to move back to Houston, and then hopefully from Houston go to Indianapolis if it happens. That's the dream situation where you can get to 4 and you still be able to get either Carter or Anderson. But you might even go after Murphy. He's supposed to be a stud, or Skronsky, the left tackle from, I believe, Northwestern.
Correct.
So me and Harry think sort of alike on this. The team needs a lot, but the turnaround could be a lot quicker, especially with the money that they have. I mean, they can get a couple offensive linemen in free agency, pay $15 to $20 million that way. They're at 50, let's say $50 million. They can grab another 3 or 4 pieces and really start developing this team, especially with the draft choices. Once again, sniff the playoffs next year and then make a legitimate run for the NFC Championship team or NFC Championship game 2 years from now, especially with how weak the NFC is.
In the best case scenario, go ahead. I'm sorry.
AFC is going to be killing themselves, just to be getting to the big game where the NFC is going to have a much smoother ride. That's why if you're the Bucs, you still got to keep going for it because you only got 1 or 2 teams to beat. Minnesota's basically a fraud.
Yep.
You know, you got San Francisco still wondering who their quarterback's going to be, and then you got Philadelphia, who can lose some key pieces in the offseason because they're going to start getting stuck up against the cap. So
you're exactly right. You also got the Lions there. I think, you know, we'll see what the Packers, what happens there. Really quick though, Justin Fields, could he turn into, in your opinion, the next Jalen Hurts? And I look at the interception, the touchdown ratio. You look at both of their numbers. You see the progression of Hurts. Is that the best case scenario, in your opinion, for Justin Fields in 2023?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And best case scenario. I don't see that big of a jump this season because of what he's had in the past. You know, running with Nagy, being thrown in there because of the
By the way, Matt Nagy's a Super Bowl champion, just saying.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? And next thing you'll have Trubisky signing off on somebody next year and him winning it. But,
listen, Bucs fans are going to remind me tonight that Justin Watson, who did basically nothing this year for the Chiefs and the victim of volume and Ronald Jones, now has 2 Super Bowls. They were a part of the team, but they weren't the reasons why they won. But, of course, Bucs fans will remind you they should have not got let go of Ronald Jones and Justin Watson. And a lot of people, well, there you go, Matt Nagy. The Matt Nagy fans out there shouldn't have let him go as a coach. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, what do you make? Yes.
Nagy just held the clipboard for somebody. I think he actually held the clipboard for the special teams guy this year. I don't think he did much at all other than maybe assist the water boy, you know. Are you sure it's not Matt Boucher?
Well, Bobby Boucher. Bobby Boucher. Yeah. Exactly. Bobby Boucher there, the water boy. Yes.
Hey, thank you for letting me be on the show tonight, Pete. I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go. So if anybody else wants to call in, they got some live action before you close out the show. But thanks a lot for having me on the air, and just wanted to debunk some of the earlier statements. But I do agree with JP. I thought Brady had a horrible year. And when you watched him, and I'll close with this, when you watch them throw deep balls on 3rd and 5 all year long, deep sideline passes, instead of just getting that nice crosser across the middle to keep the drives going, it was all season long. And that's why I agree with JP in regard to the year that Brady had.
Good stuff. Travis Haley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Go ahead and promote yourself here on The Evolution.
Hey, check us out at Travis at RSEN on Instagram. You can hit us on rocketsports-ent.com. We're actually out at the Red Bull skating event yesterday out in St. Petersburg, which was fantastic, my friend. First time out there at the St. Pete skating facility. And man, if you're a skateboarder or somebody riding skates or anything like that, any of that kind of sports, that situation out in St. Petersburg was just beautiful. What a great facility that they built for that. I mean, old school back in the day that was looked down on and frowned upon. Man, they really did it up. Really nice spot over in St. Pete for local skaters.
Yeah, I'm like one-legged Lou when it comes to skating. I'm so uncoordinated, so don't even mention that. I remember the days of trying to skate at Astro Skate and falling on my ass many times. So those days are over with, my friend. But thanks a lot. Your days are never over here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Thanks a lot for your time, boss. All right?
That's great. Thanks, Pete. Talk to you later.
All right, buddy. Travis Haley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, around the NFL correspondent, giving you his take on the game. Wow. Voice is about to go out here, so we'll read the rest of these comments, and then we'll get to some other items, and we'll end it off for the night. Great show here. So let's go ahead and read this one. Can I ban him again? No, of course we don't want to. The best part of the Super Bowl was Rondé getting booed. I agree. It would be cool if I could F5 Roger Shoe. I'm not thinking you can do that, Troy. You couldn't lift me up. Laugh out loud. Dave says, Hurts sucks. Come on, Harry. The guy played well last night. Agree with you on that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Ralph here. Garoppolo. Ralph again. Every Wednesday I wear a headset in honor of Harry. Very cool. Awesome.
Flawless victory.
Let's go out to Troy here. What I like about Mahomes is that he's working his way to be the greatest quarterback of all time, and he's not cheating his way like noodle arm Brady. You know what? I'll give you credit on that. That's actually a pretty good comment. I don't think Brady cheated for his career, but as far as Mahomes, he is he is the greatest quarterback in the game right now.
Yeah!
Let me go out to Ralph. I heard the Bears here are taking a long snapper in the first round. Come on now. Roger Shue, mass shooting in progress at Michigan State University. Pray for them. Prayers are out with them as the world just continues to just get crazier and crazier, right? Well, we go through this every time we get on the show. So pray for all those people out there and their families. Hopefully everybody's okay. Mass shootings happen way too much. I'm not going to make this political. I'm just hoping everybody's okay in that situation. That's the reason why we do sports talk shows like this, to take your mind off of it. Hopefully we did that tonight. Tampa Bay could draft Willie Beeman from the Miami Sharks. Steamin' Willie Beeman. That's actually a good comment.
Oh, yeah.
Although you had a veteran in place like a Tom Brady, if you will, with Dennis Quaid there. Prayers for MSU. Yes, Roger Shue. Let's see here. Christopher Cole, a lot of quick throws from Mahomes, and you have to give a read. And, of course, Eric Bieniemy, a ton of credit. Absolutely you do. And again, Eric Bieniemy should be up for a coaching job, not just an OC job, a head coaching job. But here's the thing at the end of the day, why would you want to leave? Why would you want to leave the Kansas City Chiefs with that situation, with knowing that Andy Reid is not going to coach forever? That you could be the heir apparent to Reid. Why would you leave that and Patrick Mahomes? I wouldn't. I'd stay. You know, it's like a line from Billy Madison. Stay as long as you can. Never say that again. Stay as long as you can, right? That's what I'm doing if I'm Eric Bieniemy. Prince still was the best Super Bowl halftime show, in my opinion. Absolutely. Awesome. I believe it was in Jacksonville, right? And he also did it for the media. That's what a lot of people don't know. And I was looking that up the other day on YouTube. Great tool, by the way, to look up things from the past. He didn't do an interview. I mean, because people were like, the media was looking to do interviews with him. He did a full concert for them at Radio Row, like 12, 13 minutes. Concert. Amazing. I mean, why you want to ask him any questions? Just perform. And he was amazing in that. Katy Perry and Left Shark laugh out loud. Been saying the NFL is rigged, but you never listen to me. We don't, Troy. We don't listen to you on this show.
This guy sucks.
Let's go on to Troy again. NFL has some stupid rules like you must have 2 feet in bounds. You must have possession, but just hitting the pylon is considered a touchdown. Laugh my ass off. Replay system is flawed. Agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Let's go on to Troy. Read the comments, bro. Call the show, bro.
This guy sucks.
Troy says, that feels like Fred Hubner's show, having your comments ignored and never read. You probably don't put anything out there that's any good. I mean, we do this on the Sports Web. I'll read your comments because I want you to be interactive. But, you know, again, Facebook stars are out there. If you want to give to the effort, do it. Also, YouTube chat. So if you want your comments read, for sure, go ahead and give to the cause. Dave says they better get an OC figured out soon because these guys have to learn the system. That was the other news of the day. On Monday, Tampa Bay met with Scotty Montgomery, the Detroit Lions assistant head coach, running backs coach, regarding their offensive coordinator position. Montgomery recently accepted his current position with the Lions after spending the last 2 seasons as the Indianapolis Colts' running back coach, of course, under the tutelage Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. Oh, that's kind of interesting, right? I mean, the last rushing attack in the National Football League, maybe that's where they go. Of course, Montgomery is the 10th candidate for this offensive coordinator job. Thomas Brown, the assistant head coach, tight ends coach of the Rams, is supposed to have his second interview on Wednesday with the Bucs. They have already interviewed Denver Bronco pass game coordinator, quarterbacks coach Clint Kubiak, Minnesota Vikings wide receiving coach Keenan McCardell, Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback coach Jim Bob Cooter. Yes, I said Jim Bob Cooter. Cincinnati Bengals quarterback coach Dan Pitcher, who is not coming here. That was the other news yesterday. He's staying with the Bengals. Georgia offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Todd Monken. New York Giants quarterback coach Shea Turney. New Orleans Saints passing game coordinator, quarterbacks coach Ronald Curry. I guess he also sells hot dogs too. How many titles does a guy have as a coach? Jeez. All right. Just joking though. But yeah, 10 candidates in, still no offensive coordinator. So I feel like you got to hire an offensive coordinator first in order to get your quarterback, whoever that's going to be, or they're going to stay in-house and go with the Kyle Trask, which a lot of fans want them to do, which, again, I have no problem with, but set it up. If this is where you're going to go, set it up for him. Make sure he's successful. Understand it. Be decisive in that decision. I don't know if they are. Eating that $35 million this year, it's time to blow it up, restart, keep your cornerstones, and trade or cut the other big contracts. I somewhat agree with you, especially if you're going in that rebuild mode. Don't do it half-ass. Tear it all down. If you're going to collapse for Caleb Williams, which has been talked about by the fans on this show, on Facebook, on YouTube, this is who they want, because he could be the next Joshua Allen. He could be, I almost said Joshua Cole Allen, not him, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. Could be Patrick Mahomes. He could be Jalen Hurts. He could be one of these young quarterbacks that the Bucs don't have. That's what you notice in the AFC. All young quarterbacks. That's the trend of the National Football League that's going on right now, and that's what the Bucs don't have. So I understand where the fans are coming from, but if you're going to do a whole rebuild, tear it all down. Get rid of the veterans. Get as many picks as possible. You want to lose as many games as humanly possible. You don't even want to win 6. You want to win 1 to 3 games next year. Why take the chance? And then furthermore, if Todd Bowles has signed off on this, ownership has to at least give him 2 years. Because that's a terrible situation. If that is the way the Glazers and ownership is thinking about rebuilding, give them 2 years. Give the quarterback 2 years. Just saying. Where did you get that? It's called YouTube Harry. Tulio says, why not having Bruce as the OC for 1 year up in the booth for his health? And he can have the remaining offensive assistants groomed to take over in the case the team has success and continue. At least the system wouldn't have to change too much, and Trask or Baker could benefit. Bingo. And that has been my point of contention. If this is your quarterback of the future, I'm not saying he is, I'm not saying he isn't, but actions speak louder than words. And for me, once again, going back to it, if he is your franchise quarterback, why would you move on from Byron Leftwich if this guy knows the system? Why would you not settle on him for last year? I get it, Tom Brady's coming back. You're one play away from possibly going to the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship. But if he's your quarterback, settle on him. Make a commitment to him. They haven't done that. And by the way, the trend in the NFL, when you draft a quarterback, did they sit for 2 or 3 years, or did they come out and start right away? Again, I understand that Tom Brady is the quarterback and it's different circumstances, but you have an opportunity. And we're still hearing, well, we like Kyle Trask, but we're going to look at door number 2. No, there's no options. It's Kyle Trask. Somebody said, okay, if you go with him as a starter, draft one. No. Leave no doubt. If he is your starter, go with him as a starter. Put as many pieces around him. Make sure he's successful. I don't want to hear any friggin' excuses at all. None. Not that he didn't have enough wide receivers, not that he didn't have the offensive coordinator, not that he had enough resources or the organization was on board. I want no excuses. Do it right. Because this organization has not been able to do it right in their history. Do I have to go through the list again? I'm not going to. Because it pisses me off every time I have to talk to fans about the inability of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how to develop a young quarterback. This ain't it. This is not how you do it. They haven't been able to do it in the past. I'm not ready to say they can't do it in the future, but I definitely got some concerns about the way they're approaching it. That's all. If you have a problem with that, get on the phone line. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Again, 727-409-7528. Again, 727-409-7528. So, it's a good thought process. Is it going to happen? Who knows? They've interviewed 10 candidates by now. You would think they would have an offensive coordinator. When was Byron Leftwich fired, by the way? 3 weeks ago? It seems like forever. Jeez. I was thinking how Tampa Bay becomes so dysfunctional 2 years after winning a Super Bowl. Todd Bowles. I definitely think there's some blame there, right? Accountability issues. All right, the odds have come out for Super Bowl. Who's going to win the Super Bowl possibly in 2023? Here are the top 10 candidates according to CBS Sportsline here, AFC and NFC respectively. The Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Chargers, Jaguars, Ravens, Dolphins, Jets, Raiders, and Patriots. Tell you what, let's go out to Ben Cornett from Las Vegas. Welcome to the Evolution. You're on the sports web here live on I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and The Hub. Go.
Peter, how's it going tonight?
It's going great, man. You know, talking about Super Bowl 57 and talking about the offensive coordinator that has not been hired by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who's going to be the quarterback? You tell me.
Wait, we haven't hired an offensive coordinator. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, it's getting to that point where it should be like offensive coordinator watch. I mean, how many days has this been? I mean, are we counting votes out there? Is this an election where we're trying to count votes and see, if somebody's cheating, or we're trying to do a recount here? I mean, hire a friggin' offensive coordinator at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, doesn't this kind of remind you of 2009 when we fired Gruden?
Yes.
At the end of January, and then we didn't have a coach until February.
Do you remember the purge? Do you remember getting rid of Warwick Dunn and Derek Brooks and Cato June and all those veterans at the time? And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they fired John Gruden. Now, I'm not trying to suggest that they're going to do that to Todd Bowles, because all the reports that have come out, we've talked to, J.C. Allen, a Pewter Report, and other sources out there that say he's safe. But yes, it does remind me of 2009. Do you remember how bad that 2009 team was?
Yeah, and I'm not saying as far as Todd Bowles, I'm just saying the process of what we're doing. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what they feel like. I don't think Kyle's the guy right now. I don't. They don't feel like it. And they want to win. They have this window. But you know what I think, though, Peter? And I thought about this the last couple of days. Brady filing his retirement papers earlier than expected might have kind of changed some minds over there right now amongst the brain trust over at, in the front office.
Correct.
Maybe they have to switch lanes, and say, oh, okay, maybe we need to go another direction. I think they want to get a veteran in there, but I think now that they're not going to have that money, that maybe they thought Brady was going to help them with for 2023. Okay, now we don't know. Maybe we need to go with that. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's what they're thinking right now. That those Brady kind of changed their plans just a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I was surprised by that development that happened last week, because I was under the impression that he was going to sign a placeholder contract, that he was going to help the Bucs out. And it certainly seems like it's completely opposite. And we don't know if Tampa Bay said, you know what, don't sign the contract. We're going to take that $35 million hit. The confusing thing is that you have one side saying this and the other side is saying this. You heard from Todd Bowles. And again, I understand that coaches always don't say what's on their mind. It's called coach speak. But when a coach comes out the week after, a couple days after you lose to the Cowboys and saying, we're not going to rebuild, we're going to reload, and then you're basically taking that $35 million cap hit and you're already in cap hell at this juncture, that to me tells me it's not a reload, it's a rebuild. It's a big-time bad rebuild. And I'll go this far. Like a lot of people say, well, the Bucs have 21 free agents. Let me tell you something. There's a couple free agents they're interested in. Everybody else can pound sand, because this is an 8-win team. There's a lot of fans out there who should want some of these players not a part of this team anymore. And I think Todd Bowles basically told you that with those comments of reloading, that we got to change the culture around here, because there's some players that, basically don't deserve to come back to this team unless they change their attitude. That to me is a red flag all over the place.
Yeah, I agree with that, Peter. I think one of those players, I'm just going to say, it's Leonard Fournette.
Right.
I think we're seeing the end of Jacksonville Leonard Fournette, where the body language is a little different. He was frustrated because Rachaad White was playing a little bit better than he was. And this is a rookie.
Sure.
So, now, and that's a good contract to cut, because that could save you some money.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Smith could be another guy. That's harder to replace because how are you going to get a left tackle? You can't. They don't fall off trees. Good left tackles don't just come, right away in free agency. So, yeah, I mean, it looks more like a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being honest,
sure.
It looks and sounds like it.
And
Trask,
Tristan, who's on this show, he says it sounds like a quiet rebuild. That's the problem. It doesn't need to be a quiet rebuild. They need to tear it all down, get rid of. And I hate to say that, like, do you honestly think Lavonte David wants to go through a rebuild at this point?
I think, as far as the rebuild, no, but I really think he wants to end his career here. He doesn't want to leave.
Right.
But at the same time, Lavonte's
can you afford him?
Competitor. How is he going to be, Peter? 33?
33, yeah.
Coming up.
33.
He is still playing at a pretty good level, though. I don't think he's fallen off a little bit. Now, he's not the Lavonte of, let's say, 5-6 years ago.
Sure.
Let's not be foolish there. But, I mean, if you're going through a rebuild, and here's the thing, we kind of owe it to Lavonte. This guy's been nothing but loyal to us.
A consummate professional, absolutely. One of the greatest Bucs in history, absolutely, no doubt.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And, maybe let him test the waters. If you don't want him back, let him test the waters. He deserves that opportunity, to finish out his career trying to get a chance to play in another Super Bowl.
Sure.
I'd be disappointed if he didn't come back, but at the same time, let's be realistic. It's business. We got to think with our heads here. It'd be heartbreaking, but another thing I keep hearing, Mike Evans' name gets tossed around as possible, cutting as far as salary cuts go, but I don't see that happening.
It's a $21 million cap hit if you trade Mike Evans. So everybody wants to trade Mike Evans and say, well, he's the most attractive option. He's got value. Absolutely. But that's a $21 million cap hit. So again, you're in cap hell already. Are you going to really trade Mike Evans? And if you're trading Mike Evans, not only are you going to piss off your fan base, but you're taking one of the best wide receivers, the most consistent wide receivers in the league, and you're taking him off your team for a first or second round pick, whatever you can get for him, because he's up there in age. And then also you're absorbing that $21 million cap hit. So I don't know if I'm buying that. I don't know.
Well, no, I don't either. But I mean, if they do something like that, you know what? It's like the Glazers are opening their mouths and biting Mike Evans' hand, because this is the same hand that's said, okay, here, just pay me the money up front now.
Mm-hmm.
I need to help this team out. He's helped this team out more than anybody financially, and then you're just going to say, well, but we got to trade you anyway. We got to absorb that $21 million cap hit. I know it's a business, Peter, but if there's one guy that I don't want to see go, no matter what, is Mike Evans, because the guy has done more for this organization, just like Lavonte, consummate professional, has helped the team win. He's, said, okay, I'll take pay cuts. I'll do this. Just give me my money up front. And, but I don't buy it. I think he'll end up being here. But I could see Godwin more than Evans being traded.
Yep.
Possibly.
Or you could see a lot of restructures. I mean, I think you can definitely do a restructure. I could see Donovan Smith out of here. I think you mentioned Leonard Fournette. There's definitely some possibilities on this team that you could definitely look at the end of the day. And Jamel Dean is going to be tough to re-sign. I mean, that would be the player I re-sign. I let Sean Murphy-Bunting go. You still have a hole at safety. Keanu Neal, I don't think is back. Logan Ryan, I don't think is back. You're going to have a big-time transition. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I have faith in Jason Light in this organization for what they've done in the past to get out of cap situations and make this team competitive. I think they can do it again, but it all starts with, who are you going to hire as your offensive coordinator? Who's going to be your quarterback? And then what's the plan? Are you trying to compete even with all this cap? Can you get out of cap? Can you go out and get a quarterback? Or are you going to run with Trask for a year? And if he messes up, then you're basically resetting again. You're firing the coach. You're getting the quarterback out of here. And once again, a wasted second round pick, and you're drafting another quarterback in the first round. I don't know. That just seems like a bad plan for me. And I don't know.
Peter, I mean, I honestly, I think with Brady filing those retirement papers, and again, this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it kind of changed the minds of, it kind of paused, Bulls, Arians, Light, like they had a plan, but now it's like, well, crap, shoot, we're not going to get that help this year from Brady, so we may have to go a new route. And with Trask, I mean, like I said, I think I told you this the last time I called in. Like, if they believed in him, wouldn't he have gotten more reps in practice? Wouldn't he have dressed up more?
Right.
If they were sure
wouldn't he overtaken Blaine Gabbert, who's considered at this juncture a first-round bust? I get it. He understands BA's offense. He knows Byron Leftwich's offense. But if this is a young quarterback that you're looking to for the future as a second-round pick, what are we talking about? Give him as many reps as possible. You know what Blaine Gabbert is. He's been a career backup. He's been a first-round bust, whether he's had a winning team or not. I get it. You're comfortable, but why even draft Trask in the second round if you're not going to play him, if you're not going to give him the opportunity?
Well, I've been on other shows. I've been on other shows. I've talked on been host on other shows. We talked about, people are saying, well, Trask is a slow learner. He was a slow learner in high school. He's a slow learner in college.
Right.
But I get that. But this is the NFL now.
So right. So let me get this straight. You got a slow learner, and you're already changing your offense in the next 3 years. So he's got two different systems. He's got to learn a whole new offense at this juncture. Right. And I'm supposed to believe that he's going to be able to catch on and be successful with this. Yeah, I got oceanfront property in Arizona for you if you believe that, my friend. I
don't either. Yeah.
I'm not buying that. I'm not. So
yeah, no, me neither. I mean, again, I like Kyle. I mean, he's a nice guy and everything. He's willing to learn.
Right.
I heard he's very patient, but again, Peter, like you said, we're changing coaches, we're changing schemes. I don't think we're going to hire an OC that's ran the same kind of offense as Byron Leftwich did. But
correct.
It's just I feel bad for Kyle because again, you're going to have to learn a new system. But right now, again, this is on the Bucs. What do they want to do? Rebuild, reload, redo? What is it? We just don't know right now.
Reset? We've had we've seen that how many times? How many times you reset? You talk about 2009, you have Raheem Morris for a couple years, you get rid of him. You go on and get Greg Schiano for a couple years, you get rid of him. You got Lovie Smith, you got him for a couple years, you get rid of him. You go with Dirk Cutter, you go with the young quarterback, and that whole time you're going with young quarterbacks, veterans, and it's not working. Why? Because there's no consistency. The only consistency with this franchise is to reset coaches, reset quarterbacks, reset systems. That stuff does not work. It doesn't work. There's no stability to it. That's when you're talking about the Houston Texans. That's when you're talking about the Cleveland Browns. That's when you're talking about the doldrums of the National Football League. And if you're a doldrum team in this league, you're not going anywhere. You're just repeating yourself over and over again. And you know what you say when you repeat something over and over again and expect different results? It's insanity.
It's insanity. Yep. It's insanity, Peter. And it's been a weird offseason. I mean,
already
we haven't even gotten to the draft yet.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I want to be talking draft, but like I said, Peter, real quick. I don't know what they're going to do now. I don't know. And it's somewhat funny in a way, almost. It'd be more funnier if it weren't so frustrating as a fan, I just want to see this team just get with the plan, go from there. That's it. Because you got to make a decision here pretty soon. We got free agency coming up.
Yep.
We got the draft coming up.
Yep.
The combine. At times now, man, that front office needs to okay, here's what we're going to do, and then go from there.
Yep. It's either Thomas Brown or somebody else. We're not talking about. Good stuff, Ben Cornett. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair. Woo! Appreciate the time and the call. Definitely use that second one if you got something on your mind. All right, my friend?
All right, man. Peter, have a good night, man. Take care.
Man. Absolutely. Ben Cornett from Las Vegas. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I was kind of getting off, but now we're getting hot again, right? Now the calls are picking up. The juices are flowing. So we're staying on for a little bit longer, and we'll see how it plays out. Just fix the defense. Well, yeah, you definitely can fix that defense, but it's going to be difficult to do that with the possibility of losing those defensive players in free agency. Now, this, according to Joe Bucs fan, Arians was asked during an appearance on Sirius XM NFL radio if he was surprised by Brady's for good retirement. And he said, I think you never knew with Tom. What he went through was really pretty hard personally, and he did an unbelievable job of trying to put it aside and went out and played at a high level, so I didn't know if that was going to get to him. He could still sling it now, and he could still sling it. Now, that sounds like to me the Bucs actually envisioned Brady coming back, and maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't anticipate that. I'm just saying, maybe they didn't anticipate it. Maybe they were shocked by this whole situation. I don't know. Interesting in itself. Now, this, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, reported on Saturday that he caught up with a few Bucs players in Phoenix who believe Trask will get a shot at quarterback number 1 for Tampa. The feeling is Trask's draft pedigree as a second-round pick, coupled with the scarcity of realistic options on the market, will get him on the field. Of course, Trask, who is 24, only appeared in one NFL game, completing 3 of his 9 passes attempts for 23 yards this past season. And this is from Todd Bowles, who talked about Trask in January, which is included in the article. Since he's been here, every time I look out the window, he's out there working on his own. When his time comes, he's going to be ready because I see him working at it every day. He has an inner toughness. He has an inner strength. He has the drive, the will to win. If you put that together, given the opportunity, I think he's going to take advantage of it. That's Todd Bowles right there. And then Levante David went on local radio station 95.3 620 WDAE. And he says about Trask, obviously you want to get a top market guy like Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, but the situation that we're in, being a GM and being realistic, you have to go with Kyle Trask. You have to put all your faith in Kyle Trask. You drafted him in the second round. You got the pieces. You got to put the pieces around him before he can succeed. And you got to get the right offensive coach in who could be able to develop him to be a playmaker that we all know he can be. Wow. I know what I see of Trask. He's a prototypical guy. You know, he's able to move. He's got a nice ball. Getting a chance to compete against him. Obviously, when he was on the scout team, he made a lot of good throws against the Bucs defense and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like he could be a guy who you can know come in, help turn us into a winning football team. That is Levante David, who is going into free agency right now, but interesting comments from him. So there you go. Once again, we'll finish up these Super Bowl odds because we got away from that. Right now, the Chiefs are, of course, the top 10 candidates in the National Football League, according to Caesars Sportsbook. Chiefs plus 550, 49ers plus 600. Interesting, 49ers being in there with Brock Purdy and possibly who knows who their quarterback is. The Bills plus 650, Eagles plus 800, Bengals plus 900, Cowboys plus 1,600, Chargers plus 2,200, Jaguars plus 2,800, Lions plus 3,000, and Dolphins plus 3,500. The Bucs come in at 21st with plus 5,000. Yes, say it ain't so. The Bucs are not being looked upon by Vegas in a great manner. Thanks to all the guests tonight. Of course, my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports, JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show. Once again, can be seen and heard Monday through Friday, 10 to 12 on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. We'll be back on Hump Day on Wednesday night, talking with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, about what else. What are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to do? Happy Valentine's Day. We'll see if Derek Carr is released. I think he's released. We'll see what happens with the quarterback situation and, of course, the offensive coordinator situation. Like and follow the Sports Web on YouTube, like I Love St. Pete, Amped Up Sports, and, of course, The Hub, and do 3 things. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And fans of the Sports Web and Bucs fans, it's your time. Have a great night.